It's fine. If someone asks, we do it up.
Hey, you have to remember that someone's hard and this guy. Yeah. Right. Hours. Come on.
I sent it out.
All right.
Senator Powers. Pro tip sign it. What?
I just sent it. Yes, that's it.
Senator Hernandez. All right, are you ready? A little sparse tonight. I know where she is, but I don't know where she is. Ready? All right.
That was the worst one.
You know, I gotta mix up a bit. Howdy, Senate.
Hi.
Welcome to the second meeting of the semester. I call this meeting to order on September 21st, 2016 at 7:01 p.m. We will now begin with opening roll call. Pro Tem, thank you.
Okay. SVP Wimberly.
Here.
Chief Justice James. Speaker Hood.
Howdy.
Myself. Chair Rosine.
Howdy.
Chair Birch.
Howdy.
Chair Ross.
Howdy.
Chair Levy. Howdy. Chair Page.
Howdy.
Chair Turpin.
Howdy.
Chair De Leon. Chair De Leon. Senator Dula. Howdy. Senator Armini. Senator Armini. Senator Bauman. Senator Bauman. Senator Beal. Senator Beal. Senator Blair. Senator Boston.
Howdy.
Senator H. Brown.
Howdy.
Senator N. Brown.
Howdy.
Senator Cook. Senator Cook. Senator Cox.
We're up.
Senator Davis.
Howdy.
Senator Day. Senator Day. Senator D.
Howdy.
Senator Diaz. Senator Diaz. Senator Eads.
Howdy.
Senator Ferguson. Senator Ferguson.
She's here. She's parking in Wisconsin. We're in Columbus right now. She's not right now.
Right here. Senator Gimbel.
Howdy.
Senator Golke.
Howdy.
Senator Gonzalez. Senator Gonzalez. Senator Hernandez.
Howdy.
Senator S. Senator S. Senator Lavinka.
Howdy.
Senator Long.
Howdy.
Senator Howey. Howdy. Senator Johnson.
Howdy.
Senator Kubiar.
Howdy.
Senator King.
Howdy.
Senator Crow.
Howdy.
Senator Grumholz. Senator Grumholz. Senator Lander.
Howdy.
Senator Langston. Senator Langston. Senator Lewis.
Senator.
Howdy.
Senator Martin.
Howdy.
Senator Mathis.
Howdy.
Senator McDonald. Senator McDonald. Senator Milligan.
Howdy.
Senator Martford.
Howdy.
Senator Moore. Senator Moore, Senator Nelson,
Howdy.
Senator Norman,
Howdy.
Senator Peterson, Senator Peterson, Senator Powers,
Howdy.
Senator Price,
Howdy.
Senator Rochin,
Howdy.
Senator Rodriguez,
Howdy.
Senator Shonker,
Howdy.
Senator Squarianchi,
Howdy.
Senator Smart,
Howdy.
Senator Smith, Senator Smith, Senator Trevino,
Howdy.
Senator Turner,
Howdy.
Senator Walther,
Howdy.
Senator Wang,
Howdy.
Senator Weissler,
Howdy.
Senator Ben White, Senator P. White, Senator J. White,
Howdy.
Senator Wilson,
Howdy.
Senator Wolf,
Howdy.
Senator Wright. Senator Wright. Awesome.
All right, great. We will now move into a period of invocation and pledges led by Ad hoc Chair Turner. The all please stand.
All right, mission statement.
Oh, invocation and pledges.
Yes. So please bow with me. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for everything you've given us. Thank you for the opportunity to convene in this room and talk about issues that help the students. And let us know that even though there are things that divide us on what we believe, we still are all Aggies and we still serve to help the student body. In your name I pray, amen.
Amen.
All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Ad hoc Chair Clark. We'll now move into a reading of the mission statement and Aggie Honor Code led by the longest serving senator here, and that would be Senator Dean of the off-campus caucus.
Mission statement. The Texas A&M Student Senate represents all students in order to enhance the Texas A&M experience within our university and communities through research, legislation, and advocacy in accordance with the core values of our institution. The Aggie Honor Code. An Aggie does not lie, cheat, or steal, nor tolerate those who do.
Thank you, Senator Dean. And it is my understanding that our speakers are not working, and therefore we cannot do the Spirit of Aggie Land.
If you don't know it by heart, you don't know it.
Well, if we are leading it a cappella, I will say I will not be the person starting us off. Okay, so yes, Senator Powers.
Senator Powers called an invitation. I move to sing the Spirit of Aggie.
Well, we're in
I will start it.
You'll start it. Thank you, Senator Powers. Okay, everyone please rise. We're going to do the Spirit of Aggie. It's all yours.
Okay.
Of the school, everything's so grand, but there's a spirit that can never be told. It's the spirit of Aggie land. We are the Aggies are we. True to each other as Aggies can be. We've got to fight, boys, we've got to fight. We've got to fight for maroon and white. After they move to stay all the rest, they will come and join the best. For we are the Aggies are we. We're from Texas A&M.
Thank you, Senator Powers. That's a really good poll there. Now we will now move into open forum, and that period of open forum, and that begins with Mr. Kenneth Johnson representing student activities. Now, Mr. Johnson, you're not going to wear that hat. It's pretty
Civilized, man. You don't wear hats.
And that's that. Yeah, 5 minutes starting at 2 hours. 5 minutes.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Man, it is a great thing to be able to speak in front of this group of leaders, gentlemen, women, and scholars again. Man, it's an exciting opportunity, exciting privilege. So I'm excited to be here tonight. Unfortunately, I have some less than optimal news. So some of you may know this, some of you may not. In the coming weeks, months, I will be transitioning from the role of primary advisor of Senate to secondary advisor. So you're not getting rid of me totally, but they will be replacing me with someone who is much better to sit in front of you all and provide leadership, because right now there's currently a search going on nationwide to find the best and brightest person to work with this group of leaders and scholars. I have had the fortunate opportunity to gain some other responsibilities, but I wouldn't want to leave you guys, so I'm going to be your secondary advisor. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. If you have any questions about that, please don't hesitate to give me a shout. I'm still going to be here, still going to be around. My door is always open to you all. But until that venture in time, when there's another person in the seat who I'll be happy to introduce you to, I will be still serving in this capacity and making things happen as much as I can. But I really want to talk to you about 2 things tonight. Besides that, I want to talk to you about research and advocacy. Research and advocacy at times means something different to this group. It means something different to everybody. But my hope is that as we bring legislation to the table, as we bring issues of concern, that we have appropriately researched those issues even before we have a bill in hand. No one likes something being talked about, written about them, without even us at least having a conversation with the people, students, administrators that it affects. Imagine if it were you, and there were some people out there saying that we're going to do things about student senate, but we haven't even had a conversation with them yet. We're going to have a conversation with you after our process has begun a little bit, and then we'll bring you into the loop. Whenever we create a bill, then take it to committee, and then go talk to people about it, that's kind of what we do. Talk to people on the front end. I know it requires you to do more work, but you didn't get these roles because it would be easy. Advocacy. Advocacy requires a certain level of communication. You can't advocate for people who you don't know about, who you don't know what their Aggie experience is. And that requires you to step outside of your bubble of friends. Those people, talk to people who are different than you, talk to people whose experience is different than yours, because I can guarantee you at the campus of 60,000+ students, they are out there. And if you aren't actively finding ways to structure your time and communicate with them, you're not doing your job. So I would encourage this group to encourage folks to come here and speak. Encourage people to come up the forum. When someone talks to me about anything, I actively encourage them to come up the forum and express themselves to you, because that is what this is for. You are for the people. This isn't about Senate. This isn't about how much we feel about ourselves. This is about what we can do for our fellow students. If we're not doing that, we're not doing that. So I encourage you to create a space in this room where people feel comfortable to come speak before you, where people feel comfortable and know that you are going to work on their behalf. But with all that being said, that's all I want to talk to you about. Thanks, and giggle.
Are there any questions? Are there any questions for Mr. Johnson?
I'm ready. Any questions?
None at
I'll
all.
watch an open book. No one?
Seeing none?
Laura? No?
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We will now move into the next person on the list for open forum, and that is Mr. Jonah Chin. He is the Diversity Commissioner for the Student Government Association. He's also a student, first-year student in Bush School. So whoop to that. Whoop. Are you representing Diversity Commission?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, 5 minutes starting now. Thank you.
Howdy, sir.
Howdy.
apologize if I seem a little low energy, a little withdrawn. I just came from Bush School. We had an event on the state of racial policing. So it's a little bit of a letdown. But I came before y'all today to talk about almost exactly what kind of group I'm talking about. I want to talk about observers. When it comes to representing student opinion and getting things done in the room, we've done a phenomenal job in the industry, right? When it comes to executing policies that are set out by the Senate, we've done a great job. A legislative body composes policy that moves on to the executive branch that we implement, no matter what we might believe of it. And on this campus, there is no constituency that is truly homogenous, in which all of their opinions are the same, except for maybe about campus issues pertaining to the 98%. We can all agree on that in this room. But whenever we vote, whenever we get up here to debate, and sometimes when we criticize, that can affect many, many different populations across this campus that you might not even be aware of. My role as diversity commissioner is not to change your mind about your persuasions, about your beliefs, anything to do with your identity. That was never the purpose of my job. What I wanted to elaborate on was the fact that the world is globalizing every day. The borders of our countries look more like nets than walls. But we want to make sure that when we graduate, walk across the campus with a little piece of gold and silver, that we're able to go out there, have conversations, interact with people of all of these different backgrounds, all of these different persuasions, all of these different identities, because we're Aggies, we're capable, capable people. I have faith in every single person in this room, whether it's Senate or the exec or the J-Court, that we're able to have conversations and say almost for sure that we represent the constituencies that voted us in. And so what I ask, my plea for you, is that whenever we discuss things in this room, whenever we go out and engage the student population, that we're aware of how diverse our campus truly is. Not by face value, by beliefs, by what we're composed of, what makes us. I love that about that. I hope that you guys appreciate that too. And again, I have the utmost faith in you all. You guys are some of the best, brightest student leaders we have on this campus. That's why you're sitting in this room, voted in hundreds of thousands of votes, and it just keeps perpetuating every year. So I have faith in y'all. Y'all are some of the best people that I know. So thank you. And I want to quote the namesake of my graduate program. Public service is a noble calling. It is our duty to make sure that we carry that out. Thank you.
Commissioner Chin, are there any questions for Commissioner Chin? Seeing none, thank you very much, sir. We'll now move into a period presentation for Ms. Casey Kubiart, a senior political science major, representing the Senate Manual Ad Hoc Committee. Ad Hoc Chair Kubiart, you have 2.5 minutes.
Thank you. Howdy. All right, so I'm the ad hoc committee chair of the Senate Committee. It's just a bit of housekeeping. If you were asked to write a policy brief and agreed to do so, please turn them in. We are trying to finish up this manual as soon as we can to get it in your eager hands. I know you're dying to read a PDF document, but seriously, this has a lot of great resources for senators, and we want to get out. So if you wrote a policy brief or anything else, make sure you get it to me, or I know policy briefs went to Joseph and Caroline, so get those in. I'm not quite sure on the state of theirs, but I know I haven't gotten all from my people. So if you just want to take care of that, that'd be great. Thanks, Megan.
Diego, are there any questions for Ad Hoc Chair Kubiart? Seeing none? What was that? We'll now move into a period presentation with Ms. Kimberly Allen, a accounting major, representing Maroon and White Leadership Fellows, I believe.
Yes.
And she's fighting Texas Ag Class of 2017. So you have 5 minutes, starting at, howdy, man.
Howdy, my name is Kimberly Allen. I'm with Maroon and White Leadership Fellows. If you haven't heard of us, we're an organization funded by this Texas A&M, and basically our purpose is to emphasize reflection on leadership experiences. Essentially, Texas A&M went to all of the recruiters that try to bring recruiters to campus, make sure that all of us walk out of here with a job, and said, what can we do to make our Aggies more hireable? And they said, you guys have great leadership experience, but you don't have a lot of awareness of how to present that in an interview setting. You can tell us all about how awesome fish camp was and everything that you did over the course of that process, but you can't tell us how that experience makes you more valuable to us. You don't reflect enough on how your leadership experience benefits you as a leader, develops you, and makes you more valuable to them than another applicant might be. So, Maroon and White Leadership Fellows was created, and essentially it's a program to emphasize your reflection on leadership with the addition of a mentorship coach. The cool thing about this organization is that our mentorship coaches have to apply to be in the organization just like you do, so that you're paired up with a coach that's actually invested in this program, invested in you, and wants the same things for you that you do. They really take your interest into consideration, whether that means you want to meet once every other week and grab coffee, or you want to see them, they require 2 times a semester and that's it. They'll match you up by that preference. It's all about fostering leadership, developing relationships with like-minded individuals, fostering relationships with those students, and developing a great relationship with those mentors. If you'd like to apply, the deadline is Friday, September 30th. You can apply at maroonandwhitefellows.tamu.edu/application. If you don't remember that, that's just fine. Just Google TAMU, Maroon and White. You'll figure it out, just like most Texas A&M stuff. You can pretty much type in the name, TAMU, you'll find us. I think that's it, so I'll open for questions.
Great, are there any questions for Ms. Allen? Seeing none, that closes the period of open. Thank you very much, appreciate it. All right, without further ado, we'll move into a special presentation from Senator Kaylee Mathis. Senator Mathis is going to be talking with us today about some of the social media work she's been doing. If y'all haven't had a chance to see the website, guys, it looks way better than it did before. She's doing an awesome job. So be sure to thank her to get the opportunity.
Hi, Senate.
Howdy.
Thank you, Joseph. There's still some things that need to be fixed, so if you have time within the next week or so, take a look at the website and kind of write things that you see that are wrong with it. I've misspelled some people's names, and I think I forgot to put someone's name. It was an accident, but just go through that and send me an email, and I'll be sure to change whatever I need to change. There's a favor that I need you all to do for me. Make sure that you're always sharing whatever the Senate page shares on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Just because I think going into this session, we all campaigned on one thing, and that was transparency. And the easiest way to kind of achieve that goal is through social media and having an appearance online. I think that we've already made progress by doing that and revamping the website and just kind of posting more on our social media pages. But if you share everything that is posted, that's going to help tremendously. One thing that I did this summer when I interned in DC for the Ag Committee, I invited every single one of my friends on Facebook to like the House Ag Committee Facebook page. I have over 2,000 friends on Facebook, and it took me 2 days to do it, but I got over 800 likes for that Facebook page just from my contributions. So if every one of you were able to do that, it would be incredible. So don't do it now, do it like after, and maybe after test. So that would help a ton. Another idea I have is to put like the Senate Twitter handle in your personal bio, especially if you have a lot of followers, that'll help. Right now I have the idea of creating a hashtag for Senate to use throughout the year, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook, just to kind of get a trend going and make us like branding purposes. So if you have any ideas on that, just email me. I'll be sending all of these things that I asked for you to do through an email so you won't forget. But next week we're going to be taking a picture with the new senators, well in 2 weeks I guess, so be prepared for that. Does anyone have questions?
All right, great, thank you, Senator Mathis. Are there any questions? Yes, Senator Turner.
Senator Turner off campus. Are we on Instagram?
That's actually an idea I have. We don't really have any pictures to post, so I brought my camera today. And if you're really into taking pictures and you like see a really good photo op, by all means take a picture, send it to me, and I will get on making an Instagram. I just don't want to make one and have no content to put on it. So yeah, that's an idea I have. Any other ideas, please send them my way. I mean, I'm kind of creative, but there's some things that kind of go over my head. So if you have any ideas, just send them my way, please.
Do you have other questions, Senator?
Yes.
Senator Hernandez, please stand. Take your name, please.
What is the website for?
It's
Is it the updated website or is it through?
I don't know what the exact, is it
It's
Senate?
senate.tamu.edu.
Yeah, it's kind of the old website platform. It's not very really. But if you just type in TAMU Senate, it'll go to the page. That's it, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any other questions? I actually have a question if you don't mind, Speaker Hood. What would you say our ratio of likes on our Facebook page to students is?
To what is?
To the actual number of students here at AMA?
Oh, it's really, really low. I think we have barely over 1,000 likes on Facebook. That's very sad and unfortunate. So, and I think you told me that you had more followers on your personal Twitter page than we do on our Senate page. So that's really yeah. And whoever takes initiative and gets the most people to like our Facebook page, I will buy you dinner. Like this is gonna help so much. So just please everyone do it and we'll get a lot of likes. Create better transparency. So thanks everyone.
Thank you, Senator Matthews. All right, we'll now move into a period of approval, the September 7th meeting. The minutes for that meeting, is there, yes, Senator Tyler, do you have a motion?
Point of Senator Carter's College of Education, point of parliamentary procedure is not the next item on the list, the special presentation by staff and stand up.
No, there was, the agenda that was sent out to the body did not have that. We had to change that. Step and stand up will be coming on October 5th. They weren't able to make it. It's okay. Thank you. So, we're back to the approval of the minutes for the September 7th meeting. Is there any objection to approving the minutes? Passes by consent. We'll now move into a period of consideration of the consent agenda. Is there any objection to the items that are listed on the consent agenda? Yes, Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services, I object to actually both of them.
Is there a second to these objections? Yes, Senator Lambert.
Point of parliamentary brief.
Yes.
Should we separate the seconds to say for both or just one in case someone do one or the other? I don't know.
That's a good point. Would you like to rephrase your motion to?
I object to the first one.
Okay, there's an objection to the Gig the Vote resolution. Is there a second? All right, there's a second. So if you could please state your objection and we will move.
No, just.
Yeah, we move into.
It just.
Yeah.
It just moves it.
Presentation. Oh, yeah, right. It does move it back into business. My apologies. So that'll be moved down to old business. Is there any objections to the thank you Chartwells resolution? Yes, Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services, I also object to that one.
Okay. Is there a second to that? All right. Thank you, Chairs Turpin and Riojas. That is also now going to move down to 2 minutes. All right. We will now move into consideration for the Vice President of Municipal Affairs. If the candidate and could please come forward. Mr. Spencer Davis. You have 10 minutes once we get the presentation up. Sorry, ahead. Clark, where's the presentation? Where's it? Spencer Davis.
I didn't get an email.
You didn't get? Did you send no presentation? That's where? So is it in the drive that you shared with me? Okay, excuse me. Can you start without the slides or is that? Yeah. Okay.
Howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Spencer Davis. I'm a class of 2017 finance major. Born and raised in Dripping Spring, small town outside of Austin. And I am up today for consideration as the new Vice President of Municipal Affairs. This is a position that requires two things on the first day. One is a working knowledge of local politics, and the second is the ability to create arguments and advocate on behalf of the student body and the student government to the city and the council. Considering those requirements, I want to talk a little bit about my experience. This past summer, the first half, I was a legislative intern for Senator John Cornyn of Texas out in DC. There, I worked in legislative research. I wrote form letters and took notes in meetings for the senator. After I left that in mid-June, I then went to the lobbying group for Bracewell LLP. They're a large Texas law firm. And I was working out there also in legislative research, writing op-eds for clients, organizing advocacy days, and building legislative strategies for clients. The summer before that, I was in London working for the U.S. Embassy in the commercial service. It's essentially a government consulting firm. Get the clicker. Right, so the summer before that, I was out in London working in the U.S. Embassy for about 3 months in the commercial service government consulting agency. It essentially matches American companies looking to export to Britain, walks them through tax regulations, visa issues, any kind of that all stuff. For 2 years at A&M, I was also an investigative journalist and a columnist for the Italian. I'm no longer a paper, but while I was there, my work was awarded 2 statewide awards and 1 national award. For the last year, I have been the director of Geek the Vote, which I introduced to all of you at our last meeting. It's a nonpartisan student initiative focused on increasing student civic engagement in the Brazos County area. So these are all things that I have walking in day one. What's more important than that is what happens after day one. So kind of outlining the vision, a little bit of what I want to do. I first and foremost see myself generally as a content expert. I want to be the person with the best knowledge of local politics so I can have the most in-depth answers for student leaders like yourselves that have questions about what's going on in the county. I also want to be the person that has the best questions for the local politicians about what they're doing, how it affects students, and what we can do about it. Part of this is also an integration with Geek the Vote. Again, we have a 27-person team that's out right now speaking to classes and organizations. Just last week, we passed out or made available 2,000 mail registration forms to students. We've also spoken to, as of tonight, 70 classes and organizations about how to register and how to vote. So again, this is kind of a continuity issue. We're a little bit of limbo, so we're going to roll Geek the Vote into the VPNA position so that we can see past 2016, when city elections in 2017, not as popular as presidential elections, we can still kind of see effort to get students involved. And again, Geek the Vote has been something that we're getting students involved by getting them involved in elections, but choices don't stop after elections. They continue on in governance. And so I really want to work on ways of getting the students more involved. I want to kind of partner with the political science department, find some kind of way to get credit to students if they want to research local city government or the county government and just attend city council meetings. Just working on them in their political science classes to get some kind of credit. I also want to expand our relationships that our last VPNA, Wayne Beckerman, created with the College Station City Council, and kind of expand those out to the city of Bryan as well as kind of county level. Above all, I want to kind of represent the views of the student government and the student body to local politicians. So working with the Committee on Community Relations, as well as just kind of getting out there, understanding, talking with y'all, kind of figuring out what y'all's thoughts are on things, and just representing those at city council meetings and at private meetings with them. But I want to thank you all for your consideration of my position, and I hope to prove to everyone my qualifications and vision. Thanks, Stephen.
Mr. Davis, are there any questions for the candidate? Nominee, I guess. Yes, Senator Powers.
Senator Powers, College of Education. Permission to practice?
Briefly.
You seem to have a very extensive qualification list, and that's very awesome. I just want to know, to be able to give you this time to talk about maybe your personal motivation for being involved in SGA and kind of your future goals and the timeline of being so involved. in government at the local level.
Yeah, absolutely, thank you. So kind of working off the idea that we could vote, again, we really want to get students out there getting involved. We saw this great civic energy, being involved in volunteering, big events, organizations, but we didn't really see that translating into civic energy. I worked on this card for a year. I think we're really starting to make some headway. I hope we're going to see that come November 8th. But I realized after November 8th, we didn't have anything to do until next November. And so I wanted to, last year was about me getting students to vote, participate in government. This year, I wanted to make it about, for myself personally, make it about getting them more involved, hands-on. One of our mottos is kind of, it's not about the choices made every 4 years, the choices made every day. And in a lot of ways, the choice for local political leaders is more important than something like president. Because there's just so much, I don't think people understand what the power is they have over them. So we're just trying to get students involved in that.
Hey, are there any other questions for the nominee? Seeing none, the period of question and answer is now closed. Are there, you please leave the room. Thank you. Is there any debate against the nominee? Seeing none, debate is one-sided. Now moving to a period of voting. All in favor of confirming Spencer Davis as the next Vice President of Municipal Affairs, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Yeah, the chair, that passes unanimously. Please bring him in. I'll stand.
Please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Spencer Davis,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to faithfully execute to the best of my ability
to faithfully execute to the best of my ability
the duties of the office of
the duties of the office of Vice President of Municipal Affairs
for the Texas A&M University Student Government
for
Association,
the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
to uphold the honor of the same
to uphold the honor of the same,
at all times to protect the welfare of the student body
at all times protect the welfare of the student body,
and to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university.
and promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university. Thank you
Congratulations.
very much.
We will now move into a period of consideration for the university committees nominations. So if you are nominated, you are informed, so if you please come down. As a reminder, we changed the rules where the nominees for the committee no longer have to be at the meeting, so we can confirm them en route, if possible. And actually, I'm supposed to be down there as well.
Yes.
Well, I'll take care of this and I'll come down.
Okay.
So you all get a chance to do that. All right, you have, I believe, 10 minutes starting out.
Hi, Senate. I'm Krista Mochigamba, and as you can see, we have a group of wonderful student leaders for you up for university committee positions. I believe you should have all gotten the email list. We're confirming approximately 59 people in positions tonight, so that's super exciting. Very efficient this year. These are all very qualified, very enthusiastic students that are very excited to serve and represent the student body on university committees. Some of them are not here. Maze is testing tonight for finance, so lots of people are testing, so I'm sure they'd rather than here. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
All right.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for VP Machigama? All right, seeing none, if the nominees could please leave the room. Oh, yeah, we're gonna switch it, or you take it actually. Yeah, no, I run this and then I gotta go down. It's a mess. You find it? It's not. That's it. Yeah, that's it. All right, so just very briefly, just a reminder to the body, this is basically, it's a majority vote to confirm. If anyone objects to anyone on that list, it takes a motion in 1/4 second to then come down and debate. But is there any debate against to distinguish that one individual? But is there any debate against the nominees? Seeing none, debate is one-sided. All in favor of confirming all the individuals listed above that were also sent out to you as the members of the university committees, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. All right, that passes. Please bring them in. All stand. This is Senator Roberts.
Raise their right hand. I state your name.
I state your name.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
To faithfully execute to the best of my ability.
To faithfully execute to the best of my ability.
The duties of the office of.
The duties of the office of.
To uphold the honor of the same.
To uphold the honor of the same.
At all times to protect the welfare of the student body.
At all times to protect the welfare of the student body.
And to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university.
And to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so we need to do my case.
Hey, we're jumping.
It's a hassle. So we gotta say anything. So just run it. Good one.
Okay, so we got one more.
I would say that's much again. So we have your fearless leader, Speaker Joseph Hood here. He is up for his confirmations in the university committees that are very important and typically sat through by the speaker. And any questions?
One question.
Chair Page, which committee are you getting appointed for again?
Well, I know that the one that I remember just straight off the top of my head is Diversity and Inclusion Committee.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Any more questions? Thank you, y'all.
Career College of Liberal Arts. Why couldn't you be confirmed with that one?
Because the podium would have basically been empty.
Gotcha.
Any more questions? Okay. Speaker Hood, would you please leave the room? Is there any debate against Speaker Hood's confirmation to UCOMs? Okay, with that being said, all in favor of confirming Speaker Hood into UCOMs, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Here's the person that has it. Congratulations. All right.
I state your name.
I, Joseph Hood,
Do solemnly swear.
do solemnly swear
To faithfully execute to the best of my abilities.
to faithfully execute to the best of my abilities
The duties of the office of.
the duties of the office of committee member of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, among others.
For the Texas A&M University Student Government Association.
The Texas A&M University Student Government Association.
To uphold the honor of the same.
To uphold the honor of the same.
At all times to protect the welfare of the student body.
At all times protect the welfare of the student body.
And to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the
And
university.
to promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university. I appreciate the endorsement, Hill. Thank you. We'll now move into a period of old business, beginning with the consideration of SB 6903, the MSC hand sanitizer bill. The authors of the bill could please come forward. You have 10 minutes starting, Howdy.
Well, howdy, everybody. Good to see you again. Looking forward to having this be the first bill we pass in the fall. The title pretty much explains it all. There's not hand sanitizer stations inside the MSC main dining hall, and it serves mostly entirely finger foods. So it only makes sense. Without it, it's a hazard and probably a health code violation. So we hope that you will vote for this bill to be ratified and you'll make this a reality. So, thank you. Do you have anything?
All right, great. That might be the shortest presentation we've ever had. Are there any questions for the presenters? Yes, Senator Skornianchi.
Senator Skornianchi, Maine Business School. I move to amend the motion by putting Senator Michael Walter in the Maine Business School caucus and not off campus.
Okay. Well, first, that's out of order. You wait. So just to explain to everyone, you bring forward your amendments during debate. During debate against is when you bring forward amendments, any amendments to a bill. Thank you, Senator Skornianchi. Are there any other questions for the presenters? Yes, Senator Blair.
Senator Blair, is the funding, what administration is funding this?
Actually, a very good question. I'd imagine that they just have a bunch of them in the storage place somewhere and then they have to just put it out there. But wow, that's really.
When they're distributed by the SSC, so.
Yeah.
Funding's there.
There you go.
Yes, sir. Here we are.
College of the Arts. Have you talked to anyone at MSC about doing this?
I mean, it doesn't really require any conversation. There's no hand sanitizer anywhere. It hasn't been there.
Just asking.
Are there any other questions for the bill presenters? Seeing none, the period of question and answer is now closed. Oh, now I close it. Sorry. We will now move into a period of debate on the bill, starting with debate against. Is there any debate against the bill? Yes, Senator Skornianchi.
Here we go.
You have 5 minutes.
No.
Yeah,
I move to amend.
Please stay in order. Please stay in order.
I second.
Hang on, guys. Please stay in order. Hey, we're all learning here. Yes, go ahead.
I move to amend the motion by changing Michael Walther's caucus to Maine's Business School. Second.
All right, there's a second. Multiple seconds. All right, we will now, and you want to now just this is a learning tool. So, can you please give a brief description or the purpose of your amendment? So you get a brief description.
The purpose of my amendment is that is the wrong caucus.
Okay. All right. So now we will start with debate on the motion. Is there any debate against the motion? Seeing none, debate is one-sided. All in favor of changing the caucus for Mr. Senator Michael Walther to Mays Business School from off-campus residents, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. That almost passes unanimously. All right, now we go back to debate against the bill. Senator Skornianchi, you still on the floor with 4 seconds expired. So you either pass on the recognition to someone else or you yield the floor.
I yield to Nick Page.
Chair Page, Student Services, I have an amendment
Please give a brief description of your amendment.
to change the word demands to requests.
Okay. Is there any seconds to your amendment? All right, great. We'll now move into a period of debate on the amendment to change demand to request. Is there any debate against the amendment? Seeing none, debate is one side. All in favor of changing the word demand to request, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. As the chair, that passes unanimously. With 8 seconds expired so far, Chair Page, you now have the floor in debate against.
Go to the floor.
All right, floor has been yielded to. Is there any debate for the bill? Seeing none, debate is one-sided. We'll now move into a period of voting on SB 6903, the MSC hand sanitizer bill. All in favor of passing the bill, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
That passes. That's the first bill we've passed this year, guys. Congratulations. All right. We will now move into a period of old business, we're still in old business, my apologies, and we will now move into consideration of SR 6904, the Gig the Vote resolution. So the authors of the resolution, please come forward. And I believe this bill has multiple people on it, including myself, Finney. So I believe at that point, it defaults to.
Where did you find it?
So it has to default on to. Yes, Chair Broach?
Are you allowed to edit?
It goes to you.
Wait, what else? I'm so excited, guys. Don't ruin my moment.
That's so weird. Who sent it to me? I never even got it. It just got into
Yeah. Then have them pull up upwards.
Copy all of them.
You have 10 minutes starting at Howdy.
Howdy, Senate. So basically, this is a really simple resolution that everybody can get behind. It's encouraging all students, faculty, and staff to get registered by October 11th. The bill is in support of Spencer's Gig the Vote efforts and basically saying that Senate supports everyone exercising their civic duty. It's not limited to simply presidential elections, because as anyone who's ever taken a state and local government course, you know that turnout for local elections is definitely the lowest. So it's also to encourage students to take part in that. So yes, it's for the presidential election, but also in a general scope. And so if you're looking for more information on why this is beneficial, as well as some stats for college age representation when it comes to the electorate, there's a number of whereases on the actual resolution itself where you can see some of the information and support for this. And any additional questions about Gig the Vote or how to get involved and what efforts are already in place can be directed to Spencer Davis, who's not here, but Jake Wilson is like, oh, just kidding. Hi. Yeah, that's all I got. So.
All right, now we're open for question and answer. Riojas. Chair Riojas, my bad.
Chair Riojas, CA. My question is, I have several friends who they want to vote, but they're extremely lazy, so they won't do anything on their own. How do I help them get registered to vote? What do I do?
We have mail registration forms available right now in Evans Library and WCL Library. And Coldus in here. Up there at the front desk in the house, by the Howdy desk. Tell them why to vote, tell them it's important, and then you can send them there, and they can fill it out. It takes about a minute. And then they'll self-seal that. You don't have to pay postage, and just drop it in the nearest mailbox.
We also have links to where those mailboxes are on campus on our website.
Senator Price.
Senator Price, contributions. What about out-of-state students?
Out-of-state students can't register here to vote. We don't have any information pertaining to how to vote because it's 98% in state, and we don't have the resources to tell them how to vote in each state, fortunately.
Senator
Senator Blair, Liberal Arts. I got something in the mail,
and it was like a blue thing. I asked the mail lady about that, and she said that was my voter registration thing. So I'm just wondering what's going on? What's this thing?
That is essentially a receipt from the county saying that they've got your registration forms and you are now registered. It's a great idea to take that. It's not necessary. So it's a good idea to take that card you got to the voting booth the day you vote, but it's not necessary as long as you have the proper IDs.
Chair Krumholz, or I'm sorry, Senator Krumholz.
Senator Krumholz off campus. Have you guys considered doing table times in the MSC? Do you have the manpower on your organization?
We generally are leaving tabling hours in the NSC area to college students, Republicans, and other political organizations that are out registering students right now. We think our time is best served going to classroom organizations and telling them the same information they'll hear there. But we are also working to get polls and stuff like that. So we do have some events upcoming that we're working at.
All right, Senator Rodriguez.
Senator Rodriguez, Liberal Arts. Could you guys clarify the actual voting law here in Texas? I know that there's been some confusion as far as like what we need to bring to the polls. My understanding is that we actually don't need our state IDs. Could you guys clarify that?
So the law right now, it's been sent back by the court. The court told state of Texas to figure out a way to fix these issues with it. So that hasn't been formalized yet. It hopefully will be by election day. I think the best option right now is to stick with the old law and to bring those HB 14 qualifying IDs to the polls. You can also use a passport and you have like your government IDs.
Thank you.
Senator Milligan.
Senator Milligan off campus. I was wondering if y'all are helping people register for absentee ballots in other counties as well, or is it just in Brazos County? We can only register in Brazos County as certified deputy voter registrars of the county. We can only register here. We do have information on our website, and we are out speaking and telling them if you are registered, that say where your parents are living, you can, all the information to get the ballot to you is on our website, and also links to the Texas Secretary of State for further information. And then you can also vote in person, even absentee, at the Brazos County Administration Building in the early voting period, but not actually on election day.
All right, and if we have no more questions, it's going to be a period. Thanks. It's going to be a period of debate.
We'll be closed here.
Closed period, question answers. Open period of debate. Starting with against with Senator Powers.
Senator Powers, College Education, I have an amendment.
What's your amendment?
I would like to be added to the bill. Therefore, let it be enacted 3, that Student Senate commits to include voter registration opportunities at any and all subsequent constituent outreach activities, including but not limited to tabling hours.
Would you email that in?
I have it written right here.
Okay. All right. All in.
I think it's a period of presentation of like why. Can you say? I think it's like state the purpose.
Yeah.
The purpose of the amendment in showing support for the Gate to Vote efforts, especially since we're writing a bill, I think that Senate should be included. Actually, yeah. Therefore, I guess it's therefore like 2 years old. Sorry about that. But we should be advocating for these efforts as well, and we have the ability to table, like he was saying. So I think it also addresses the question that was asked before by a previous senator of how we can take that opportunity to just get them out as much as possible. These cards, before the deadline. So,
yeah. All right, does anybody have any? Oh, all right, do it against? No? Debate is one-sided. Now we need to vote on the amendment. So, I got that part. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay.
Aye.
All opposed. Okay, cool. course, you still have the floor.
Oh, yes, I yield the floor to Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services, I have an amendment.
What's your amendment?
My amendment was emailed to the pro tem. It's fixing a lot of very bad formatting and removing the last 3 sponsors as they're over 15. That's against our code.
Yeah, would you like a period of presentation?
No, well, I guess the only presentation I'd like to do is I encourage somebody to amend my amendment to keep what was just amended on there as it would technically override it.
No.
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 Well, it does if we're blanket putting my amendment because it's just another copy of the bill.
Point of information. Would it be accurate to say that his amendment is just replacing the bill? That's
not in order. No, it's not. No. Okay, so I'm still in presentation. Since I'm in presentation, just to clarify a little bit, all I'm doing is moving a couple things around. I guess you could take the premise of the.
Chair, Senator Dean?
Point of information, can we count really quick how many senators are sponsors to see if it's even relevant?
Just give Hendricks 1 second.
Okay,
15?
It's combined all the sponsors according to the code.
Yes, no, there's 18.
It's total 15. It's total 15 authors and sponsors.
Well, no, I'm saying.
No, but yeah. Right.
Yeah, so my amendment would also include the voting hours, just stickers in there.
Point of parliamentary procedure. Speaker, okay, so just to clarify, the amendment that we're about to debate / vote on is making sure that we're at the 15 limit.
Yes.
And it's formatting? Is that correct?
Yeah, mostly formatting. I didn't change it into words or anything other than a few of the ways people put their titles. But I implore everyone to look at it.
We have to vote on it then. Okay.
And then.
Because it does change.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and vote on the amendment. So against. Senator Powers.
Senator Powers, College of Education. Point of personal preference. Is this referring to Chair Page, is the document available right now on the drive? If you would like to refer to Chair Page.
I will refer that to Chair Page. Did you hear her question?
Yes. No, it's not on the drive. It was sent to the pro temp. I can put it on the drive or it can be emailed out.
Point of personal preference. Speaker, can we please send the amendment out to the body so that they can see what's going on?
I believe that's possible. Senator Wang, I'm sorry.
Senator Wang, off-campus point of personal preference, could you please highlight the amendment that Chair Page just proposed, please?
Because it's formatting errors, we'd have to highlight the whole thing.
Point of information?
Yes.
If it is formatting and just not changing words, is that not considered clerical? Why do we have to amend the bill?
To change the names, like to remove the names. That part is.
The formatting is clerical. To change the names, we would have to.
So we're only voting.
So we will only vote to change the names. So debate against the amendment. Seeing none as one-sided. Period of voting. All in favor of passing the amendment? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that passes. So that will go to, I believe it's still debate against.
Yes, and.
I yield to the floor.
The floor has been yielded to. Debate 4. All right, debate is one-sided.
So we will go ahead and vote to approve the amendment in its entirety. No? Just kidding.
We're voting on it now.
That's okay.
We're voting on the resolution.
Sorry, guys. First time. So we're voting, what did you just say?
Voting on the resolution.
This is difficult. So now we're going to vote on the resolution. This is going to take a long time. So all in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that passes. We're done. Thank God.
We'll now move into a period of consideration for the Thank You Chartwells resolution, but as I am the author of that resolution, I'm going to have to ask the committee.
You have 2 minutes starting at Howdy.
All right, great. Is there any chance that we could get the resolution?
Yeah, he's pulling it up.
Okay, great. All right, howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
All right, y'all, this resolution is just really straightforward. What it is thanking Chartwells because what they've done is they've actually been the reason that 12 Can has been able to operate this year. 12 Can, for those of you who are not familiar with it, I'm kind of glad that I get to present on this because it gives me an opportunity to talk about a great SGA committee. 12 Can is a food pantry ran by the Student Government Association, for those of y'all who aren't familiar with it. They actually, the first time they opened this semester, they served 68 students. So that's 68 students that student government, through money that we have allocated, through the work that we've done, but especially the work of 12 Can, we were able to feed 68 students through 12 Can. And so it's a great program. And what they came to me is they had to go into the 501c3 process, and through that paperwork, they've had a lot more difficulty getting food than what they had previously because of the partnership they have with the Brazos Valley Food Bank. And therefore, what happened is Chartwells actually was able to donate almost 1,000 pounds of food to them so that they could stay open and continue to serve the students. And this is just a resolution thanking Chartwells. I know that we're not all gung-ho about Chartwells, but I think that's important that when people do the right thing, that we recognize that as well. That's how we start building relationships. That's how we start forming a relationship where we can actually start acting on that. I'm interested to see the objection, and I would love to answer any questions that are had so that I can clarify.
Are there any questions for Speaker Hood? Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services. Just permission preface.
Great.
Start off, part of the reason why I objected was so people can be made aware of this as opposed to just going through the cracks. Also, on the, let it be further resolved to, by Leland Rapport and Courtney Bryant Hill, are those their technical titles? It never mentions Chartwells in there. I just feel like it looks a little bit like they work directly with the university.
Right, well, because of Chartwell's private-public partnership, they're the ones who also, like, the reason why I put Ms. Bryant Hill specifically, she's the director of marketing. Right. So what I'm figuring is that they'll be able to pass it on. But yes, these are two individuals who are part of Chartwells.
Right.
So yes, they're part of Chartwells.
Any more questions? Okay, with that, we will go into a period of debate against. Does anybody have anything to say? Okay, seeing none, we will move to debate 4. No debates one-sided, so we'll go into a period of voting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed? In the year of the pro temp, that passes.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Chair Broach and Pro Temp Finney for filling in there. We will now move into a period of new business, starting with SB 6904, the meditation bill. If the bill authors could please come forward. Yeah, 10 minutes starting howdy unless they can. They should. They would like. right, you have 10 minutes starting behind you.
Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
I'm really excited because, to be honest, this is like my first bill/amendment. But it's technically not because I helped to author a bill in the 68 session. But nevertheless, I wanted to talk to you guys real quick about these things that we call invisible identities. So each one of us in this room, we have what we these ideologies and these things that make us who we are, right? We have the color of our skin, we have our gender, our sex, our orientation of like our preferences for like who we would want to date or make with, right? We have all these identities, but some of the ones that we don't think about at first are the ones that we can't see. So it's not always simple to determine someone's like hidden identity. So some of you guys probably wouldn't know this, but guess what? I'm Christian, right? Big factor, right? One of the things that I really started to think about when I joined this great body in the 68 session was what this body was comprised of. And I look around and I see different identities. I see people coming from different walks of life, different states, different ideologies, different religions. And then I stopped on the last part, and I started thinking about the different religious parts. In this very room, we have people who aren't all under the same religion. This is not a homogenous religious body. Then I further started to think about myself and the role that I have in here as an on-campus senator. And I started thinking about the constituents that I represent. And I was like, wow, I don't represent all Christians. Everyone in my constituency could be from different backgrounds, whether that's being Jewish or Muslim or Hindu. And it started to dawn on me, right? And all that to say is that none of us here are homogenous. None of us have this great thing outside of the fact that we're all Aggies that we can say is what holds us together. I recently had the opportunity to have a conversation with President Young, and I was excited about this bill, so I ran it by him. And to hear him speak, it was great, right? Because this is our president of our university, and he's the person who's supposed to be like the person who brings us all together, right? And he was saying how that's actually a great move of this bill because not many people realize it, but at graduation, they did the same thing. They removed the prayer that began every graduation for a moment of meditation, personal prayer or reflection. And they did that at graduation. Part of the conversation was even talking about doing the same thing at football games as well. And then after hearing him say that, I also started to think about some of the other areas on campus where we see some of these same movements. We also see a movement where you don't have Christian prayers in the Corps of Cadets anymore. They also move for a moment of silence, meditation, or personal prayer. But the one thing that I really started to think about was what pertains to this student body. It's been in previous sessions in the 64th, the 65th, and the 66th that we've had stop hate reports actually reported on the student senate body for the very prayer that we do at the beginning of every meeting. And for me, this bill is not about silencing anyone's First Amendment or trying to keep people from being able to vocalize or express their religion. It's not about that. It's about making this place inclusive. It's about making sure that every student senator, every Aggie that walks into these doors, every person that we represent, and everyone on this campus has a voice that is being represented and heard by people who don't subscribe to biased ideologies. And that's pretty much the main point of this bill. But with that, I open the floor to questions.
Floor has been yielded to for questions. We will begin starting with Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services. I haven't looked at this in particular, so to your knowledge, does anything in our code actually dictate that the prayer has to be a Christian prayer at the beginning of our meeting?
To my knowledge, it doesn't, but the concerning thing about it in my research and what I found was that it's not that it has to be a Christian prayer, it's that it's typically always going to be a Christian prayer. So back in the 66 session, the complaint was made with stockades, right? And the speaker at the time had the option to decide what to do with it. So what the speaker decided to do was they opened it up to all students. It's a great plan, right? So there's a rotating. The plan behind it was that it's supposed to rotate between different faiths and religions. The only problem with that was that you had an overwhelmingly Christian populace who were taking advantage of the opportunity to the point where you don't see any other faiths coming into the room and taking advantage of the opportunity. So it's not that it can't happen, it's just that with the way that things have played out, it hasn't happened. And when the opportunity was presented for other people to come into, it didn't happen. So.
All right, we'll now move to Senator Hernandez.
Senator Hernandez, on-campus caucus, have there been any complaints by either current senators or constituents that they felt personally offended or, not included because of the prayers that we do?
Yeah, to my knowledge, not currently. But like I said, this was just something that I noticed as a student senator, and taking some of the things that I know about other fellow senators in the room, and things I know about the students that I represent. I felt as though since I'm a representative of those constituents and in this body, that I shouldn't be subscribing to something on their behalf if that's something that they themselves don't subscribe to, if that makes sense. So yeah.
Thank you.
Now move to Chair Broach.
Chair Broach, Academic Affairs. So do I have like a quick second to preface?
Briefly.
Okay, so to my knowledge, we have an optional prayer at the beginning of our meetings. We invite you to pray with us. If you don't want to, you don't have to. So if we pass this and we have this moment of silence, if I choose to pray out loud, am I going to be called out of order for this?
Well, that's a great question. To the wording of the bill, no. To give you just an answer, but that goes with anything else that we could do in here as well. It's almost like the respect that we had last week. Just because someone comes in here, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're required to respect us. It would be nice if they did it, but to my knowledge, there's nothing in our code that would call you out of order. And hopefully, Chair Rosine or Speaker Hood could correct me, because I'm not well versed in the code like that.
And if I may also, just in my understanding, saying it's optional is technically correct, but part of praying isn't just your connection with whatever God you're speaking to. It's also auditory, it's visual, it's all these things. So it may be optional, but it doesn't mean your ears block out the sound or you decide you want it to be optional, if that makes sense. That's the way I see it.
Right.
I'll move you to Ben. Senator Howie.
Senator Howie, off campus. To your knowledge, has SGA ever gone out to find somebody for the Jewish faith, any other faith, to say a prayer when they have a rotating basis, as you said? Have they ever gone out of their way to promote religious diversity, or has it simply always been the Christian faith?
To my knowledge, SGA solicited for speakers to come in and do the prayers, and the overwhelming response that we had for people to come in were of Christian faith.
All right, with a minute and a half remaining, Chair Broach.
Chair Broach, Academic Affairs. So when you hear someone talking that you don't like, do you get to tune them out, or is it just for prayer?
To answer your question.
This is more directed towards Senator Hernandez.
So the point I was making is that I'm not saying you tune people, I'm saying you can't tune people out when they're talking to you. So if there's debating something that you don't agree with, unless you leave the room or put on sound canceling headphones, you can't tune out. That was my point. Does that answer your question?
I'll move you to the end. Chair Rivas? You have 45 seconds.
Chair Dossier.
Do you have a motion, Senator?
Yes.
Bowman?
Senator Bowman, off campus, I motion to table this bill indefinitely.
The motion's been made to table this bill indefinitely. I see multiple seconds. I do not believe that's a debatable motion. My apologies. But it requires a majority vote.
It is debatable.
That is a debatable motion. But it is a majority vote, and the motion in multiple seconds has been made to table the bill indefinitely. So we begin with debate Against tabling the bill indefinitely. So, yes, Senator Lewis. Yeah, y'all. You have a motion?
Oh, no.
Oh, debate against? Okay. You have 2.5 minutes starting now.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Cool. So with this amendment to the Constitution, it provides a sense of inclusion for this body. It provides a symbol to the people we represent, and it says, hey, we're thinking about you. Like we take into consideration the fact that we can't see all the things that make you who you are, and we're trying to make this space a place that allows for you to feel comfortable, for you to feel included. So if there isn't a great basis for not doing such a thing, I ask for the opponents of this bill to speak up clearly about their reasoning for not wanting to have a bill that promotes a safe space for everyone to practice their ideologies, whether they be Christian, Islamic, Hindu, agnostic, or any faith or belief. But with that, I give my time to Senator Kubia.
You have a minute and a half, Senator Kubia.
Senator Kubia, College of the Arts. Regardless of what you want to vote on this bill, I think what Senator Lewis said is correct. I think if we're going to stand up here and talk about respect and respecting each other and having people respect us, I think we need to that means hearing people out and not just tabling their bills when we don't like what they're saying. I think there's some back and forth during presentation of the bill about tuning people out or not listening to what some saying, or can't you just not listen if you don't want to hear, or something like to that effect. Wouldn't this be just silencing those opinions that we don't want to hear? I think it's go to committee. I think committee would be a great place to bring up further concerns. If you have issues, that's a more personal space where you can have better conversations.
30 seconds.
I think, especially the issue is sensitive to this, I think this bill deserves that kind of respect and for us to respect each other. With that being said, I think you should vote against tabling this resolution. Let them say what they want to say. Let's hear them out. Let's hear what our fellow senators and friends, classmates, peers have to say. I don't think there's any harm to that.
We'll now start with debate for tabling indefinitely, beginning with Senator Baumann. You have 2.5 minutes starting at howdy, sir.
Howdy, Senate. Howdy. As I was the one who made the motion to table this indefinitely, I wanted to give a couple of reasons why. I looked over this bill for a couple of days, and I really think that this would be a harmful bill to Senate as well as diversity as a whole, and I want to go over why. First, I definitely do disagree with the premise of the bill, saying that it's disproportionately poised to Abrahamic religions, because there's nothing in the code that says it has to be Muslim, Christian, or Jewish prayer, the 3 Abrahamic religions. Furthermore, we need to recognize that speaking up here is not an infringement on everybody else's it's not a disrespect to diversity, because no one's required to join in on the prayer. People are welcome to leave the room if they feel so led to do that. But one of the most interesting things is that how we, when we reach out to people to come and pray from a wide range of diversity, we reach out to Jewish people, we reach out to Muslims. The majority coming in are Christians. Doesn't that mean that we're representing them well? Because if the majority of the student body are Christians. And of course, I think that we should continue to reach out to Islamic communities as well as the Jewish communities, Hindu communities, Buddhist communities. Let them keep coming in, and let's do that in an equalizing way. But if the biggest response is Christianity, then that means that is a majority of the student body, and we are representing them accurately. Furthermore, I wanted to go notice that when the United States has similar bills to this, federal appeals courts always rule in favor for opening up meetings with prayer. The reason why that is the case is because whenever bills almost identical to this are passed for the generally for the interest of diversity and inclusion, Federal appeals, U.S. appeals courts reject this notion because they find it as an infringement on the freedom of speech and the freedom of religion, because it is a restriction on how religion and speech is expressed. We cannot limit how it is expressed, even if it is in a public forum. So that being said, when it comes to people's freedom to be able to pray openly in front of a meeting, or versus other people's comfort levels of hearing it, the person's right to be able to pray in front of an open meeting is always subsumed, because rights come before privilege. And so with that, I want us to remember, let's keep going out, let's keep including others with diversity. Let's go out and let's find Muslims and Hindus and bring them in as well. But if the majority are Christians, then we're doing our job. And with that, I move to the previous question.
Previous question is moved. There are multiple seconds. All in favor of tabling this bill indefinitely, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Division, chair calls on division. All in favor, please stand.
We're out of order. We have to vote on the previous question. It's too good. Previous question.
You're right. My apologies. So we have to vote on this. Is the previous question. That's right. All in favor of moving. My apologies. All in favor of moving the previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Chair calls on division. All in favor of moving the previous question, please stand. What's up, Finney? How many people do we have at the meeting today? You may be seated. All opposed? You may be seated. Sorry, guys, Aggie math here. Yeah, I believe, I don't even need to count. I believe that passes. So we will now move into a period of voting on tabling this indefinitely. All in favor of tabling this bill indefinitely, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Division. Chair calls on, or division to be called. All in favor of postponing tabling indefinitely, please stand.
Senator Lewis on campus caucus. Senator Lewis on campus caucus. I'm motioning for roll call.
Roll call vote has been asked. There are, I believe that's a 1/6 second for roll call vote. Yeah. All right. Please sit, and then if you have a motion, please. Those of you on the roll call vote, please raise your flag. I believe that's 15. I believe that's definitely 6. So my math's right. That's 1/6. So we will have a roll call vote. You want to go over it? So a reminder for a roll call vote. You have basically 4 options: aye, nay, pass, which means that Pro Tem Finney will come back to you the second time, and then abstain. So you can also abstain.
So if you say aye or for, you're for
tabling this indefinitely.
Indefinitely. If you say against, then you're against tabling.
Yes, you're against tabling indefinitely if you say against. And this takes a majority vote. Yes, Senator Hernandez, you have a parliamentary inquiry? Or?
Yes, Senator Hernandez on campus caucus. So tabling indefinitely would mean that we go straight into.
This bill is, for all intents and purposes, dead.
Okay. Myself, for Chair Rosine, for Chair Roach,
For.
Chair Rios,
For.
Chair Loving, for Chair Page,
For.
Chair Turpin,
For.
Chair De Leon. Okay, Senator Newell,
Against.
Senator Arguini, Senator Bauman,
For.
Senator Beal,
For.
Senator Blair,
For.
Senator Bossert,
For.
Senator Brown, Senator Brown, H. Brown,
For.
Senator Nick Brown.
4.
Senator Cook. Senator Cox.
4.
Senator Davis.
4.
Senator Day. Senator Day. Senator Dean.
Against?
Senator Diaz. Senator Diaz. Senator Eads.
4.
Senator Ferguson.
4.
Senator Gimbel.
4.
Senator Golke.
4.
Senator Gonzalez. Senator Hernandez.
4.
Senator Hess. Senator Levinka.
4.
Senator Wong.
4.
Senator Howie.
Against.
Senator Johnson. Senator Kubiak.
Against?
Senator King. Senator Crowe.
4.
Senator Krumholz.
4.
Senator Lander.
Against.
Senator Langston. Senator Langston. Senator Lewis.
Against.
Senator Martin.
4.
Senator Mathis.
4.
Senator McDonald. Senator Milligan.
4.
Senator Markford.
4.
Senator Moore. Senator Nelson.
4.
Senator Norman.
4.
Senator Peterson. Senator Powers.
Against?
Senator Price.
4.
Senator Rochin.
4.
Senator Rodriguez.
Against.
Senator Schonker.
Against?
Senator Squanianchi.
4.
Senator Smart.
4.
Senator Smith. Senator Trevino.
4.
Senator Turner.
Against.
Senator Walther.
4.
Senator Wang.
Against?
Senator Weissler.
4.
Senator White. Excuse me. Senator White.
Against.
Senator Wilson.
Against.
Senator Wolf. Senator Wright. Senator Wright.
The bill's been tabled indefinitely. We'll now move into a peer presentation on SB 6905, the Transparency Act. So the bill authors can please step forward. Or author, singular. Hernandez and Cuvier as well, if they'd like. You'll have 10 minutes starting in Howdy.
Can you also have the presentation? Okay. I'm gonna let you do it. Awesome. Okay, cool.
Howdy, Senate. This is my first act, so forgive the jitters. First bill actually at all. So, for those of, Senator Powers, College of Education. For those of you who don't know, back in the 62nd session, a former senator I actually had the chance to meet with introduced the idea of voting by clickers, which therefore, yes, and those that the hisses that you are hearing are probably senators who had the problems with the clickers and got rid of them in the first place. The positive point of the clickers, however, is that it created a voting record of the senators by each participant. And so this was the primary method of voting and helped to create those. And they're archived and available on the Senate website right now. Unfortunately, they stopped being used after the 65th session. Sorry. After the 65th session. And so there is a gaping hole in our archives, senators, and a lost opportunity for senator accountability that I'm now proposing. As senators, we've been elected to accurately represent, to the best of our ability, our constituents who have put their faith in our ability and our voices resounding theirs. Therefore, I'm proposing that the Me Too app be our primary source of voting rather than voice voting, and have included such an act reference to the part of the code that deals with standard operating procedure. If those of you who have it up there, the code isn't even up to date and it still mentions the features that we don't use anymore. So that needs to be changed anyway. I only came to the Me Too app after a considerable amount of research. I wanted to find something that not only provided those individual voting records, but was also accessible to you guys via the web and via an app that's made both for iOS and Android. The app is free for you to download, and I have a short PowerPoint now to show you some of the details. Yes, awesome. So, cool. So Me Too is a voting app provided by the company Lumi that is accessible via computer or phone, like I explained. The control of the app is facilitated by one administrator, which is in this case would be our lovely speaker. Our license, if the legislation is passed, would be under tamustudentsenate.metoo.com. So that is where you would go if you're accessing it via a computer or tablet to be able to log in to the meeting. Unfortunately, since our speakers aren't working, I had this super cool video they provided that I wanted to feature. So the specific part that goes into details about polling. But basically, when you poll, I'll go back to that. When you enter into a meeting, there is a 9-digit access code that is included in the act. The fact that will only be disseminated to the members of the body that are currently present. That is how you will access it currently. It is in the pipeline as of right now. I was on the phone with the company that they will be implementing a username and password in the near future to where just some extra security measures. But the really, really cool thing about this app is, especially for us as we're trying to archive these things so that the voting records are available to the students in an easy to read, simple format, is that all three of these slides are different pictures of the trial that I personally ran at 1 a.m. in the morning, whoop, being a student. And so what happens is you have not only the attendance, and it is documented when the person first joined, last left, and what's not shown is also the media form that they used. So for instance, I logged in via an iPhone 6 with an iOS 9.2, and it recorded that as well. It also shows you the polling results, divided by legislation. So for this, if you'll notice here, I titled the legislation legislation referendum, and had the polling choices, yay, nay, and abstain. And those are the results. It was 100% yay. And then the final one is with the results formatting is polling results by participant. So these are divided not just by actual legislation, but with the list of participants, their names, and their responses by each one. So as far as cost, I know it's going to be a huge question for you guys. The cost to buy the license for this particular year, once it is passed, so that would probably be starting in October, is $637. The quote is for $91 a month. The current funds available to the Senate is divided into two because we have two SOFC accounts. Forgive me if I'm saying that wrong. Which total to the amount of $632.55. If I'm not mistaken, we also have the $300 in the allocation bill coming up. So we're about $5 short, $4.45 exactly short, which I personally commit to you that I would would give if this would be able to be passed, because I think it's that important. For the future, we can always increase the allocation amount in terms of funding when the financial community needs to determine the allocation of the SGA funds. But before that, I propose also to be going to SOFAB. For those of you who don't know, they are under the auspice of SODA, and they are here for organizations to provide money up to $1,500 to my knowledge for initiatives like this one that are with perpetuating that organization's mission. And also to my knowledge, this isn't used as much as organizations probably should. It's a great resource that we have on campus for those of you. I know there's a lot of student leaders, so definitely look into it for your own personal organization. But I think they're an amazing candidate for this, especially with what we're trying to get to, which I will get to at the end. There's also, in the past, there's been a culture within Senate of having profit shares. So there's a precedent for that. Unfortunately, that's gone in the recent years, but we would be able to, and I would be amenable to obviously reintroducing that.
as a way of allaying some of the costs, and even possibly, depending on how much funds we raise, creating an endowment for this specific cause. So that is the end of my presentation. As you can see, the app would be extremely beneficial, not only to this body, but also to all the students of Texas A&M. In light of upcoming elections on the state and federal level, by making voting records available for students to view, we are also instilling the habit of using those voting records to get a clear and accurate depiction of candidates that they elect. The act is called the Voting Transparency Act for that reason as well. For as elected officials, there's an absolute necessity to be as transparent as possible in order to better establish communication and relationships with the student body. This is something that I ran on. This is something that was mentioned that a lot of you ran on. As I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation, right now there's that gaping hole in our archives of no accountability for the past few senators, and I want to correct that. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from students that I've been able to pull about it within my own college and also on campus. And so with that, I'm open to questions. Oh, just kidding. Actually, I'm going to give it to Senator Rubiar.
Yeah, so if some of y'all if y'all remember the golf cart bill, there's been a history, correct me if I'm wrong, of Senate maybe not spending as much money or just having money left over or having funds in our account, just chilling, doing nothing. Let's make our money work for us and for our constituents. I think this would be a great way to spend it.
Minute and a half.
If you can close out that.
You yield? All right. Floor has been yielded to, and now start a 5-minute period of question and answer, beginning with Chair Broach. Chair Broach. Chair Broach.
So, Chair Broach, Economic Affairs, we don't even have $600, and
Is that a question, Chair Broach?
do we have $600 to spend, and are we going to be allocated that much in the future?
Yes, so to answer your question, I met with one of our advisors, Ms. Amy, earlier this week.
Please limit the back and forth.
Excuse me. To answer your question, I met with Ms. Amy this week, and certain students within Senate, including the speaker and the pro temp, have access to what are called our SOFC accounts. Now, I'm not entirely sure why that's not disseminated to the body. However, the funds that I, sorry, I'm gonna make you put up the PowerPoint again. The funds that I included are from 2 different accounts that are at will for us to allocate as Senate for the purpose as we see. So this isn't part of the allocation. I mentioned that in terms of the $4.55 that we would have to cover for the current license. And I think in reference to the other thing was my main goal is to make sure that our first priorities are the SOFAB options and the reintroduction of the profit shares in order for future things to allay any possible increase of allocation. But that is definitely not my goal. Is, I want to make sure that that allocation is being able to be disseminated to the organizations that deserve it and that go for it each year. They deserve it just as much as we do. So,
with regards to cost, this is the most competitive and affordable option that we were able to find on our research. So.
All right. Now we'll move to Chair Turpin. My apologies.
Chair Turpin, Legislative Affairs. Permission to briefly preface.
We have a lot of questions to that.
Okay. Well, I have a concern that this is going to disenfranchise students that don't have.
Technically a preface.
All right. Can you explain what would happen in this scenario where a senator didn't have a smartphone or laptop, and how would they be able to vote?
For that scenario, would probably be on a case-by-case basis, and probably smaller. However, within the act, I have put in there that if Me Too is unavailable, that a voice vote be moved to standard operating procedure. However, I would strongly recommend for those students, I would personally be willing to go and I know the annex rents out computers for 4 hours, so that would be a way to give them the opportunity to access it via personal laptop or yeah. So that would be my personal answer if you guys have any.
Be a way to share Black box as well, could be a separate login to the same computer.
Right, you could have two senators next to each other, sharing the screen per se, but different windows opened up of their personal voting. So, you know, you have a Senate buddy next to you, and you can vote via that.
Yeah, just
40.
sharing computers.
Sharing computers.
We sit close.
Thank you.
All right, we'll now go to Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services,
Please say in order.
with the numerous free options available for polling and all that, what benefits does this offer to justify $650 if you better spend on, of student fees if you better spend on things like cars, poll, muster, potentially saving lives on campus?
Right, so, what I would say to that is that, this new initiative is helping support our mission, and those are the kind of things that are encouraged in terms of allocation progress. So each year, with these new initiatives, that's kind of what the focus on, at least to my knowledge, to my research, that's what the focus is on within the Finance Committee, is making sure that organizations that have come up with new and innovative things that they want to provide funds for, those are put as a precedent. However, like I said, my main goal is to delay the cost via, the SOFAB opportunity as well as profit shares. To
30 seconds.
Go back to the first part of the question.
The biggest part of this cost is the fact that I'm.
20 seconds.
Oh, yes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I'm a visual person. This
Yes, you have a motion, Senator Blair.
Senator Blair, motion to extend the period of question and answer by 2 minutes.
Motion been made to extend the period of question and answer by 2 minutes or multiple seconds. All in favor of extending the period of question and answer by 2 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. That passes. You may continue.
Basically, really quick, this system creates an Excel spreadsheet that has visual data that we can rely on accurately. That's probably the biggest part of the cost.
I now remember the first part of your question. The efficiency, like he's saying, definitely outweighs the cost. And in terms of my research, I couldn't find any free polling sites that also offered non-unanimous voting. So security measures, but in terms of being able to record individual senators and how they voted, there seemed to be none, especially those that were accessible via app and via tablet, because I also wanted to make sure we had that measure of effectiveness and ease of access. So
I would like to say too, I think honestly, so we're $5 short effectively. If we ask for $30, I don't think that's taking a lot away from carpool. I think that's taking a lot away from the big event. Realistically, I think this would be a good way to further our mission.
And in terms of this year, the allocations, if you've looked at the agenda, have already been made. And so they would not be affecting students this year. And so we have an entire year to make sure that any detrimental loss of funding doesn't happen, in terms of our efforts to raise the money to cover it.
We're not going to Senator Mockford.
Senator Mockford, College of Agricultural Life Sciences. My question is, I took a quick.
You have 30 seconds, so please avoid prefacing.
Okay, did y'all investigate the enterprise solution on the Me Too page and look at getting special pricing for a single organization?
Yes, I was on the phone.
Yes, Chair Riojas.
I motion to extend the period of question and answer by 3 minutes.
Here, motion been made to extend the period of question and answer by 3 minutes, seeing those are multiple seconds. All in favor of extending the period of question and answer by 3 minutes, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
As the chair, that passes.
Okay, so the enterprise solutions that you're talking about are for cases where it's over 100 participants, because they have to be able to add licensing. So the other option that you may be wondering about is the option for educators. However, when I was talking with him, even though I sort of begged and pleaded, we would still fall under the auspice of business. The education sector of that is specifically for lecturers, professors, in classroom settings. If that answers your question.
Thank you.
All right, Senator Blair, 3 minutes remaining. A little less than.
Senator Blair, Liberal Arts. Being a political science major, there's
no.
Okay, being a political science major, We, any amount of data that we get.
Is that a preface, Senator Blair?
That's what I was gonna say.
No, you do not have permission to preface. Please ask the question.
Okay, so with any amount of data, there's gonna be, an amount of error.
Yes,
So
Chair
what is
Roach.
the amount?
Chair Wells, Recommended Affairs, I have a motion.
What is your motion, Chair Roach?
I motion to refer this bill to the Finance Committee.
I believe that's the order. All right.
It's changing the
No,
code.
that's not, you're right.
It's changing the code.
That's right. So they're on committee. Well, I mean, you made the motion to
Even
refer
then,
it.
it's not an interruption.
Yeah, it's not, I didn't think it was, that's what I was saying.
Yes.
Well,
You don't have the
it's a
floor.
period question answer. You don't have the floor. If you would have been recognized as the floor initially, it's not an interrupting motion. You have to have the floor to be able to make that motion. So that was out of order.
What is the amount of error, in the polling system? Because with any computer.
In my personal research and my, calling with the company itself, and in addition to calling other companies, testing out security measures and everything, they are constantly improving that, and so there's been no feedback as far as errors to them. I have a relationship with now that if we had any unforeseen errors, we would be able to get in contact with them quickly. However, there is no feedback to them about, to my knowledge, about errors that have happened and provided feedback and needed to be changed. In terms of, I think your question is polling, I guess, being the option being wrong. In terms of the app, if you accidentally hit something that you didn't mean to, if you hit yay when you meant nay, that sort of thing.
Yes, Chair Roach. A question, okay.
You have the option to clear before the voting is closed and redo your vote. I'm sorry.
All right. I'm going to withdraw my question and go to Chair Riojas.
Chair Riojas, yeah, about this briefly.
35 seconds now.
So $700 is a lot of money. How do you justify spending that much on something that's, to be honest, the majority of people probably will never look at?
I justify it by the fact that if you do not support accountability and transparency within this body, then I don't really know why we are here. You were elected to do so. You were elected to voice the opinions of your constituents, and therefore you should be open and amenable to spending whatever money necessary now and allaying the cost later in order to promote the mission of the Student Senate, which is for the students.
Please finish your sentence, but I would like to actually I would actually like to move, Speaker Hood. I would actually like to move to extend the period question and answer about 2 minutes. That's multiple seconds. All in favor of extend the period question and answer, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Chair calls it on division. All in favor, please stand. That fails. All right. With the period question and answer now expired, I will send this to the Rules and Regulations Committee. Okay, we will now move into a period presentation on the Green Dot Bill, SB 6906. Will the bill presenters please come forward? Y'all have 10 minutes starting now. Y'all presentation or just the bill? I have to click it.
Oh, no, it's just you, yeah.
You have 10 minutes starting now.
Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
So as a body, during the 68th session, we promised to continue to research, legislate, and advocate on behalf of the student body after the events of February 9th. And recently, if you haven't heard, we had some events occur at the recent Prairie View A&M game. Basically, some students from Prairie View A&M were spat on by an A&M student. There was also a bottle of water that was thrown into the section. So also recently, there's been an increase in sexual assault between 2009 and 2013 alone. There's been an 84% increase across the nation in terms of college campuses as investigated by Vice journalists. And in both situations, And in in both the February 9th situation and the Prairie View A&M situation, students didn't really know how to react in terms of disseminating the conflict. People were taking pictures, videos, or simply watching instead of doing what we as students and Aggies should do, which is to put a stop to it. This bill is essentially a top-down approach. It says that we as student leaders in the Senate representing the student body should be trained in bystander intervention training in order to encourage a culture where students know how to react in these sensitive and incredibly important situations. And we as student leaders should serve as an example to the students by utilizing resources that are readily available to us here on campus. So being able to mediate conflict as an active bystander and instead of being a passive one can ensure many positive outcomes of potentially difficult situations that can definitely be condensed. Oh wait, no, sorry, I just skipped one. Okay. Mediate conflict and not be, okay, what was that? Can ensure many positive outcomes of potentially difficult situations. So normally the training is about 4 hours long. I know that that's too long. And there is a condensed version that squishes that 4 hours worth of information into about 30 minutes. All we have to do is find the facilitators to do that. And for those of you who are simply unfamiliar with Green Dot training or unfamiliar with how it works and stuff, it encompasses multiple elements of the university. It's in cooperation with Step In and Stand Up, which is sexual assault. It also works with CLEAR, the Consensual Language Education Relationships group on campus. It also just covers multiple facets of the university. Its focus and purpose is on capitalizing the power of peer and cultural influence across all levels of the socio-ecological model and targets all community members and potential bystanders, seeks to engage them, and through this cause an ultimate reduction of violence in high-risk situations. So basically during the next development
Please stay in order.
Basically during the next development day, since Pro Tem Finney has said that we would have additional development days, Chair Rosine and many other members of the body are in agreement that development days often lack the structure and the direction most of the time, and so this will be a great way for Senate to get together and really participate in something that will allow us to have major beneficial takeaway that's applicable to properly handling and addressing conflicts on our campus. There are also undeniable outside benefits that are applicable to other elements of our lives when we face with sensitive situations in both personal and professional lives, workplaces, at Northgate. In fact, when we were at this event earlier this weekend, Senator Turner was talking about how he and his fraternity brothers saw a case of sexual assault that was about to happen, I believe, and they knew how to discriminate the conflict because they had been properly trained, so they were able to stop the sexual assault, and that was the result of being trained through the Green Dot program. So essentially, this is a proactive measure so that we can be prepared in case anything happens. And as a body together, if we can participate in this training opportunity, we can address the thousands of men, women, and children who are often often victims of power-based sexual violence. Thanks. That's all I got.
Are you all done? All right. We'll now move into a period of question and answer. It's 5 minutes, starting with Chair Broach.
Chair Broach, academic affairs, when do these trainings take place?
As currently written, it would just go within one of the development days that we are currently required to have by the bylaws would just be, one of those would be required to be the Green Dot training, like Green Dot training.
Now go to Senator Krogh.
Senator Krogh, my question would be, do you have a way to elaborate on the specific exercises you would be participating in during this type of training?
So I'm actually Green Dot certified because I had to for another organization or be a student leader in it. And so what they do is start off with a presentation and talk about the different statistics and why it's important to be not a passive but an active bystander, which means that you jump in when you see necessary in an event of like some kind of violence, or and how to be safe about doing so to the point that you don't harm yourself by getting involved. And then it switches to, and I did the 4-hour one, so I'm not exactly sure about the convinced one. And then it goes into scenario play of, hey, XYZ is happening, how you respond, and then you talk about your answers and figure out which way is the best way and the safest way to be involved. A lot of student activities staff is required, or not required, but emphasized to be Green Dot training as well as professors on campus, just because when Anna shifted to Green Dot training, there was a lower, I don't want to say lower rate of these activities happening, but more of an active step in kind of
of keeping them from continuing. And so the goal is a student senate, by having this training, would be that we would learn as student leaders to be efficient with our constituents and also be leaders on campus and preventing violence from happening.
We now move to Pro Tem Finney.
Pro Tem Finney, do you know how long the green dot training takes?
Oh, well, normally it's about 4 hours if you do the full training, but I'm proposing that we do the condensed 30-minute version that's actually just been recently released. I spoke to some administration about it earlier today. Sarah, I believe, who works in Distract. Yeah, she was saying that it still gets the entire point across. It's basically like just a crash course of the entire thing. Yeah.
All right, we'll now move to Chair Broach.
Chair Roach, Academic Affairs. So if someone can't make these meetings, like say they have to this development day for whatever meeting, is there like a makeup course you're gonna have to do, or are they just gonna have some kind of penalty for not doing it?
I can do
Same
that.
penalty that goes with all development days.
Okay, well, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the green dot specifically.
Right.
So it's just, so since the pro tem has to create these extra development days, all it is saying is that one of these extra development days will be a green dot training. So the same stipulations that would adhere to a student center as attending the other ones would go with the green dot training one. But I would encourage people, if they can't go to that one, there is facilitated green dot trainings around campus that you can sign up for, to where you don't have to be part of an organization to attend. So they could choose that option if they can't come.
I'm not going to Senator Krogh.
Senator Krogh, off-campus caucus. So I have a follow-up question, and that would be, since this bill is required only to train senators, would that be considered more of a symbolic gesture?
I wouldn't say so.
I wouldn't believe so, because it would be a pilot program to see how engaged a particular population is within the SGA, and if it were to be successful, if everybody were to come and they won't have to do absences, then it would be disseminated to the rest of the SGA. The executive branch wouldn't have me to be trained if they're not trained already. And of course, the judicial branch would love to be trained. I'm getting head nod right now, very good. And that would also spread to the rest of the committees and commissions. So it would not be symbolic, it would be.
Point of order. Do you have a point, Chair Page?
Point of information, Chair Page, Student Services. The bill that's on the screen is not what I was sent out. Is there a discrepancy there, or what happened?
Chair Rosine actually added the edits in the code recently. I believe it's already in the drive under new
it's
legislation.
the current or like.
Yeah, current legislation. Whatever.
Right.
New business.
So
it's corrected.
just for future reference, all points of information are directed towards the chair. The chair can then choose to defer. But that answers. I would have deferred it to y'all anyway. Okay.
Thank you, Senator.
All right, we got 1 minute left, Senator Kroger.
I think I'm good. Did you finish your screen? Yes, thank you.
All right, we'll now go to Pro Tem Finney with 1 minute remaining.
Pro Tem Finney. So my question is to Rules and Regulations Chair Rosine. So other than the development day that's at the beginning of the session or at the beginning of like the fall semester, which are mandatory, would the other development days be mandatory as well? Because I don't think
they take away an absence.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
We'll now go to Chair.
All it says is the way it's worded right now is
you can get an absence removed by attending a development day.
That's out of order, Chair Broach. You have 2. You have 15 seconds. Recognize you for questions.
Chair Roach, green dot training, will it be mandatory, not the development day itself, but if you miss green dot training, is it, oh, shame on you, you missed it, or is it, you need to go get it done?
No.
5 seconds.
No.
If you want to put it that way.
All right, with that, the period of question and answer is expired. I will send this to the Rules and Regulations Committee. Thank you. All right, we'll now move into a period of presentation for SB 6907. Actually, Pro Tem Finney, if you could grab this. The Elected Senator Rights Act.
Okay, Speaker Hood, you have 10 minutes. Starting howdy.
Howdy, Senate. Howdy. Speaker Hood here. This is basically cleanup on something that I was wanting to accomplish last year, and we just ran out of time in the 68 session, and that is changing the rule because we had an incident last session. For those of you who are filling in vacancies, you remember that. For those of you who were serving in the 68, you remember this as well. in which we had legislation that we were filling vacancies, much like we're about to do. We were filling vacancies in the spring, so this past spring semester. And what occurred was there's some legislation that was pretty controversial. And so there were chairs and other officers and other senators who actually moved to bring that controversial legislation up before the new senators had been sworn in. So the senators who'd been elected by their constituents to vote were not allowed to vote on that legislation, and they also weren't allowed to vote on a piece of consideration for confirmations. And so they didn't get to vote on a confirmation, and they didn't get to vote on they didn't get to vote on the bill. And for me, guys, y'all know me, I'm extremely passionate about making sure that the voice of every single student senator is heard day in and day out. That's why I'm doing this. But what this does essentially is it makes it required where the first thing that happens after you do your opening ceremonies for the meeting is that you swear in any new senators who've been elected. Because I think it's ridiculous that at any time we would take away the people who have been elected to vote their right to vote after they're voting by the student body. So this is just something that I'm very passionate about. I know that the senators who were denied that right to vote this last time around were very passionate about. They were very upset. And I want to make sure that we continue to maintain the best excellence that we can in representing the students here at Texas A&M. That's the only reason I'm writing this bill. It's something I'm not passionate about. We're all sit down and talk about it. So with that, I yield the floor to any questions.
Excellent. We will now open to questions. Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services, Commissioner Brooks.
Granted.
I'll start by saying I spoke to many of the senators who didn't actually have the ability to vote, and they were happy they did because they knew nothing about the case. So my question would be, are you an advocate of non-informed voting?
No.
Thank you.
I believe that when you're elected, you are elected with a certain set of expectations. I believe that every single one of y'all is elected with a certain set of expectations that you're supposed to meet. And that is to be an informed voter. So the moment that you're elected, the student body will get that faith and trust in you. And I have that faith and trust in you as well. I have the faith and trust in you, sir. I have the faith and trust in you. I have faith and trust in every single person in this body, guys. And I have the trust in the student body that they're going to elect people to bring them forward and that they're going to make the best vote for the students. That's what I care.
Do you mind explaining what the controversial legislation was?
Yes, the controversial legislation was reform on fish aids, and that was the very controversial piece of legislation.
Any more questions? Okay, we will now open for debate against.
Well, this is.
Oh, right. Okay, we'll move to. All right. Well, with that, it will be sent to the Rules and Regulations Committee.
All right. We'll now move to SB 6908, the fiscal year 17 SGA allocations bill. If the bill authors could please come forward. Y'all have 10 minutes starting howdy. This, guys, is a bill that I really think y'all should pay attention to. This, or if you aren't paying attention to the other bills, which you should be paying attention to all of them. But pay special attention to this one. This is the allocations for the year. This is the money that we're giving each and every student government association, committee, and commission that requests money, including our own money. So you'll have 10 minutes starting howdy.
Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
All right, first of all, my committee, thank you for those that are here. We've had a very, very long last couple of weeks. So we've had, I think, was it 18 committees come and ask for money for a total of, I think it was right around 65 grand. So a lot of money that we had to cut for good reason. But so the easiest way I think to go through it is we're just kind of go through budget by budget as painlessly as we can. And I'll just kind of give you the total of what we're recommending. So to start off, we can start from the top if you want to scroll with me. We'll get to that in a second. We're going to start with alternative spring break. We're basically recommending they get $779, which is about equivalent with what they got last year. We didn't make any significant cuts to them at all. Moving forward, big event. This is by far the biggest part of our allocation at $12,162. One thing we cut here, we cut their storage locker because they have a gazillion places around this campus where they can store stuff. So that's one thing we cut there. And then we cut the tools just a little bit. Just pretty standard year after year stuff there. Moving forward, carpool. Carpool came in and asked for about what they received last year, and we gave them about what they received last year. Nothing really stands out there. And then next is development, which pretty much he received a little bit less than last year, and I don't know what Chartwells didn't copy over, but pretty standard stuff there. It's 5,462. She has some great stuff planned this year. Really excited for that. Moving forward, diversity. We're giving Jonah $550 or recommending $550. Yeah.
All right, moving on. EIC recommending 1220. Again, not many changes, just a little bit for advertising, but they do some great work for the environment and representing A&M. So not many cuts there. Executive branch, we granted about $1 million for them. So $812. Cut a little bit with the outreach side, but I don't know. So kids, again, not many cuts. We did pretty well with cuts in general.
One thing here I want to talk about that I've gotten some, I know Nick brought it up, the $500 for their catering for their event. First of all, I think, yes, that's a lot of money for catering, but they're catering to a ton of people. And what their event is, for those who don't know, is they put on an event for the janitors, and their catering costs are like almost $3,000. So they're doing a good deed for them.
And it's, a group of workers on campus that really doesn't get recognized. It's a great way to put out SGA, and we gave them $10.50 there. GLC, so yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so GLC, for those of you who don't know, they're an SGA organization. They put on a 4-day leadership conference recognizing David Gilbert, who I can't exactly remember what he put on, but they do ex-student who died.
Former student, sorry.
Yes. So, and they came in and asked originally right around $9,000, which is just it's a lot. That's a lot of money. You see, we only allocated big event, which is the biggest, operates on the biggest budget. We only gave them like was it 11? Mm-hmm. So we basically had to cut everything down but food here and give them $2,000, and then their MSC open house fees. So I'm sure if anyone has any further questions, you can talk to me or Dan. This is by far the hardest one, the hardest committee to do.
GLC does some great work, but we just saw that they had other funding options, and we only have a certain number of dollars to allocate, so it's best spent on some of our other committees that really need finances that have a little bit bigger impact on Warren campus.
And they have a huge endowment. Okay, moving forward to Guide. Guide, for those of you who don't know, the organization Guide, they're the first day of school. They're going to be there to kind of hand out water and have some tents and just wish you good luck in your starting your semester. Allocating them $495, basically just to get some promotional items and water. And then Senate, we gave them actually $1 million. No, we gave them $350. This is actually a significant cut from last year because we did have a little bit of money left over. Not $600 and some dollars, but we had like about $200 in that account left over. So moving forward, mustard. This is another big budget. We're recommending allocating them $7,396.28. This is a pretty standard allocation to what they had got last year. No significant cuts here. They got some really good stuff planned this year. I'm excited. And then replant, we allocated $5,070. This is just a little bit more than they've gotten in the past. They are really working on growing their tree farm so that way we can have more trees, and trees don't grow overnight, so you really have to start early. And they're actually in the process of moving too, so.
Yeah. Several organizations requested a little bit larger allocations than usual just because they had some one-time purchases that they really need to cover, so that may account for some discrepancies from past years.
Forward, 12th can, we are recommending $907, real standard stuff. They traveled twice to a conference in Dallas and a conference in Houston. And yeah, pretty much promotional stuff, phone lines. Nothing interesting there. And then this is kind of cool. Tourism Council, we're advocating for $4,132.94. This is going to be they are really working their butts off this year. They're going to have some really awesome event, or I guess the help that events already going on, but they have some, I guess for us, like the walkie-talkies, able to communicate with people, because when you guys have been to Silvertown, it's a madhouse out there. People are passing out left and right, so it just kind of helps communications. And then the Bonfire Remembrance, they're really trying to grow this year to make it even bigger than it ever has been before. Legislative Relations Committee. Jacob over there, gonna basically on our behalf, the students' behalf, go to Austin and advocate on our behalf, just some promotional purposes to help get everyone together there, pretty standard. And then the Career Closet. For those of you who don't know, Career Closet, basically anyone in here can go get a suit for no cost. You pay $5 to dry clean it, and they're growing super fast. And I don't know if you were at the game at halftime for Prairie View, they actually gave them a huge spotlight on the big screen, which is really cool. As an SGA organization, we're allocating or recommending $625. So here, moving forward, if you can scroll to that, that's kind of a portion. I know it's really hard to see, and I don't know where the labels are on that one, but the green is big event, and then the kind of bottom left pie is muster. And then the kind of one on the right is carpool, and the red is replant. So those are pretty much the biggest chunks of our budget. And overall, we spent we have recommended allocation of $49,786.22 currently. And we feel like that's a good point. If some emergency were to happen, we do have a little bit of funds that we can fund. But overall, nothing too crazy here. It was pretty standard allocations comparable to the past. Few changes here and there. So
I mean, the committees are really our chief branding for SGA. So it's really important, and Chad and I and the rest of the committee made sure that we gave these committees fair allocations so that they're able to represent SGA and our student body proudly and effectively. So we really did our due diligence to make sure it's fair. We gave everyone what they needed and cut where we needed to. So, yeah.
So open any questions. Do you guys have any questions now?
All right. The floor has been yielded to the questions. We will begin with Senator Powers.
Senator Powers, College of Education, permission to preface.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in reference to what you were talking about specifically with Big Event, I understand that they have a large allocation. However, you may be aware as well of the initiative on Riverside campus where most of their tools are housed. The fact that they're going to be losing over half of their storage space. In reference to what was said, it was a gazillion places on campus where they could possibly store their tools. They also provide in the cut to funding on their tools loan they loan those tools to other organizations to be able to provide for service events throughout the year. And so I just wanted to get a clarification on your justification of cutting for those specific reasons, seeing as there is a pretty dire need.
Yeah, to clarify what we cut this locker right here. So for a big event, that's really not, you can't put tools in the closest locker.
We put about a shovel in there.
Yeah, maybe a shovel. So we're not cutting it, we're not taking the huge storage place. And they also have a pretty big office. And with more committees growing, there's some other committees that I guess need that space more dire than they do. And there's only a certain number of lockers there, and it's first come, first served for most of those people. And then also about the tools, I'm not sure if you know this, we learned it last year when I was going through this with Joseph. So big event is in the spring. You go out, you do your event, and then you come back, you give them your tools, and you never think twice. Well, big event basically takes all of these tools in the spring, in April, goes and throws them in, and stockpiles them wherever they need to, and they don't really touch them until all the way, like they haven't done it yet. I think it's in a couple of weeks from now. Then they audit the tools. So allocating the money every year for tools, we don't know how much they have. So for us, being in our position of allocating the money, sometimes it's a lot harder to allocate money to someone who doesn't know what they have in the first place. So.
Also, the allocations are bigger than only about 10 to 50% of the budget. So $1,000 cut from big event isn't as much a big deal as $1,000 cut from some of these other organizations that are doing great work, but really need the extra cash and don't have the donors branding that big event does. So really made sure that we kind of affected them in the right places.
And they actually are receiving more than they did receive last year. I don't know if you looked at last year. So.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll now move to Senator Rodriguez.
Senator Rodriguez with the Lawrence. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did you say that the Big Can had funds to go to 2 different events that are outside of College Station? Did you say that they're funding for a conference or something?
Please limit back and forth. You
To
might
just
go into
finish the
full
question, how did you justify that?
So almost all of these committees, we're allocating money on behalf of the student body. So we don't give money for anything that isn't gonna directly benefit the students. Those aren't just like retreats that those organizations are going on. They actually are going there to, I think it's like food drives. And like for us, like for our food bank.
It's to learn how to be a more effective food pantry. So because 12th Can is still growing, they can go to Dallas, they can go to Houston, learn how to be more effective. Also get donations from them, because at some times during the year, 12th Can is really low on donations, so they rely on Brazos County Food Bank, Houston, Dallas for financial support, guidance, and things like that.
It's a huge fundraiser for them.
So they're making funds.
Oh, so we're basically funding their gas, a small portion, and they're getting much bigger funds.
Okay.
All right, we'll now move to Chair Riojas. All right, are there any other questions for the bill presenter? Seeing none, we'll send this bill back to the Finance Committee.
Thanks.
I just want to give a shout out to Chad and his finance team. They've been doing a really good job. And I guess Dan Rosenfield over there too. But the finance allocation process is very long and grueling one. I was there not too long ago. So thank you very much to Chad and his entire committee. We appreciate the work that y'all are doing. All right, we'll now go to SB 6909, the OAL print balance rollover bill. Will bill authors please come forward? We have 10 minutes starting ahead.
Well, howdy, Senate. Howdy. I'll start by saying this is a bill that was passed in the 68th session. And instead of renewing it, I thought I'd let it go back to committee because, for one, this would be going to Academic Affairs, no longer my committee. But two, this is an entirely different body of people. So I think we could maybe put some more work into it, change it up a little bit, make it better. Always want to improve. But basically, what it's doing is that $30 you have for open access labs to go print stuff out. It's letting that roll over from semester to semester up into $100. Before it was indefinitely, but $100 is pretty good. And the reason behind that is this is money that you have, it's given to you because it came out of your student fees. And you can go and you can print, or you could not use it. Some people don't use it because you have one semester, all your classes use eCampus, you submit everything online. The next semester, all your classes decide to make you print out 300-page assignments. You run out of that printing pretty quick. Wouldn't you wish you had that $30 from the semester prior? So this is something that I was pursuing quite a bit last semester already. Got some positive feedback from the administration, just didn't get the chance to completely make it happen. And I think that reinitiating it for this session as well could potentially get this to happen for us. So I feel like it's fairly self-explanatory. I'd be happy to take any questions to clarify things there.
Great. Do you yield the floor?
I do.
All right, great. Are there any questions for the bill presenter? Yes, Senator Lewis.
Senator Lewis on Campus Caucus. Just for clarification, what happens to the funds that don't roll over currently?
Well, they get reabsorbed into the budget.
Yes, Senator Blair.
Senator Blair, what would happen when one graduates? Would they also be absorbed into the budget?
Yeah, so in no way would you receive a refund of your unused prints. These prints are meant as an academic, for academic use. You print out your assignments, you print out a little, set of notes or something like that. This isn't going to be giving you extra money later on or anything like that. So it's just letting them be used for what they're intended for, just in case you had a different load from semester to semester. And also if you become, say for example, you take a year off, well, you lose those funds, and when you come back, you start back over. But yeah, that's a good question.
All right, we're going to Senator Martin.
Senator Martin from College of Engineering. Would students be able to opt out of this fee altogether?
So as the bill's written, you're not able to opt out of paying. It's not like you pay a $30 fee and then they give you that $30 back for printing. It's built into general student fees. It's allocated to the open access labs, and they chose to give us $30 a semester, $15 if it's a summer semester. So it's not something directly that you could opt out of because it's not something directly charged to you. in that way. That's something that could be looked into, but it's not a part of this legislation.
All right, we'll go to Senator Lewis with 3 minutes remaining.
Okay, Senator Lewis on campus caucus. Seeing as, permission to practice.
Yes, briefly.
Seeing as the money that's left over gets put back into the budget, is there not already funding or isn't part of the budget already allocated and using those funds? So wouldn't this be taken away from those funds?
So I'm going to try to explain what I think you're asking, and please let me know if I didn't catch your question right. So basically, you're saying that the library is expecting everybody to use maybe on average 15 of those $30, and they're using the other $15 for something else currently. So what happens to those $15 if they no longer receive it? So initially, yes, there'd be a little bit less money in the slush fund, or a little bit less money maybe going to maintaining computers or whatever it is, because all this money is used in the open access labs budget. However, statistically speaking, this comes from both me and administrators I've talked to. The odds of people actually taking advantage of this are pretty slim. The people who don't really use this and lose their $30 every semester, it'll go to 100, they'll lose that when they graduate. Or, so basically speaking, as people move on, after 3 or 4 years, it's going to go back to pretty close to the same as what it was before. People who don't use it aren't using it. People who do use it a lot are still probably using all of the money. But that just allows for that little bit of difference for if you have one heavy semester or one light semester, et cetera. So yes, there'd be a little bit of impact on the budget, but again, most of this is going into maintenance or buying extra paper and stuff like that. So if it created a huge load or a huge problem, it could be adjusted.
Now go to Senator Powers.
Senator Powers, College of Education, permission to practice?
No.
In your research, have you looked into how this will affect students who have funds over $30 and whose funds actually do roll over, for instance, the major of computer science?
So if I get your question right, some students also have, in addition to the $30 in open access class, they also have a departmental budget. And that may roll over, it may not. For example, in aerospace, we get like 400 firms or something like that a year, I believe, in addition. And I think that doesn't roll over a year, it's just given to you. That comes out of departmental budget. It's nowhere near the same money. And each department would still continue to keep their own policies, or they could change them if they wish, but it will not be affected by this bill.
All right, with 20 seconds left, we'll go to Senator Trevino.
Senator Trevino off campus. Would the rollovers come from summer semesters in which we're not enrolled as well?
No, only if you're enrolled in the semester and you actually get that money would it roll over. You don't ever
follow
up.
You have 5 seconds.
I wasn't enrolled this summer and I got $15.
Now that's out of order. That wasn't a question.
So
you can call that a word. All right, with that, the period of question and answers actually closed. That was 5 minutes expired. So thank you very much. I'm going to send this to the Academic Affairs Committee. All right, we'll now move to SB 6910, the Establishment of Course End Date Bill. The bill out there, I believe, is already up. So you got 10 minutes already out.
Howdy, Senate. So similar to the last bill, this is again something that was passed last semester and I did a lot of work on, but didn't quite get to the end of it. So just trying to push that continuity, you know, instead of doing a set of 100 great things, but make them new things every year, let's continue on some of these things we've been pushing for, because sometimes they take more than a year to see out to fruition. So essentially what this does is it asks for, in the student rules, there to be a codified and specific course end date. So this is an issue that affects a small population of students, but if it affects you, it can hit you pretty hard. Technically, as it is now, your course doesn't end until you get your final grade. So you could take the final exam, you could wait 3 or 4 days, and you could have something due a day before grades are submitted. Technically speaking, again, this doesn't normally happen. Usually on your last class day, you have everything turned in, you have a couple days to study for your exam, you take your exam, you're done. But it's happened for a couple people that I know and quite a few people I don't, who basically their professor said, okay, look, you guys have this project, it was on the day of the final exam, everyone took the final exam, they're walking out, and he said, wait, I'm gonna assign you a project that's due the day before grades are due. And that could be required to be turned in person as well, keeping you here past all your final exams are over for 5 days. So it's a little loophole in the system. It's not really expected to be an issue, but it's something that has effects on students. And again, when it does affect them, it affects them pretty hard. So I think that this should be closed up. We've already gotten positive feedback from Faculty Senate on this, and I think it's something very reasonable to ask for. With that, I yield to the floor for any questions.
Floor has been yielded to, and I'll open up a period of question and answer. Any questions for the bill author? Seeing none, period question and answer is now closed. I'll send this bill to the Academic Affairs Committee. We'll now move into SB 6911, the Total Regulations Clarification Bill. The bill author is already up, so you have 2 minutes starting and have it, sir.
Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
Apologize in advance, my mouth's getting pretty dry. So essentially what this is, again, another bill that was introduced last session. It's also kind of closing up a loophole on the transportation side. I've been reached out to by a couple of you who've read it, and I'd love to have conversations with you as to how to make it better. But essentially what this bill is doing is it's adding a rule on the transportation website saying, unless you're breaking a federal, state, local law, your car cannot be towed until you've been notified that you're parking incorrectly and given at least an hour to move your car. So the reason behind this is there's been a few people who came to me, this was a student last semester, and he said, well, I was parked in a spot I didn't know I couldn't park. It was in the middle of the night or something. The next morning, I forgot about it, didn't get to it right at first. He was in the course, so the car wasn't all that important to him. And they had ticketed his car and then relocated it all the way across the West Campus. The lot was hardly being used, but he had never been notified that his car was even ticketed. They just ticket.
Yes, you have a point, Senator Blair.
Point of personal privilege. The bill that we have up, this is the end of course date, not the part.
Can we get that changed, please?
Sorry.
Is the standby button? No. Technologically inept, I apologize. What's up? You may continue.
All right, so very specifically, we just want people to be notified that they've been ticketed and are about to be towed, because there's a small difference between being towed and being relocated. Apparently, they're seen as two different things. So being towed is when you're in violation of something. Being relocated can be done because they need the lot for something or whatever. But either way, what happens is when you're relocated, your car's moved from point A to somewhere way across campus or wherever. So this is just trying to give students that little bit of protection to be able to move their car if they're parked incorrectly. With that, I'll yield to questions.
The floor has been yielded to for questions. Are there any questions for the bill author? Seeing none, I'll move this bill to the Student Service Committee. We'll now move into a period of open session. Are there any? Yes, sir. Yeah,
Chair Rosie, rules and regulations. I have a bill.
Please briefly describe your bill.
It is changing some of the stipulations on the J-Court nominations.
Is there a second? Is there a second to hear this bill? Seeing multiple seconds, you may.
Emailed it to the purchase.
You already did. You got 10 minutes starting and have it, Chair Rosie.
Howdy.
Howdy.
So after having gone through this process 5-6 times now, I have realized that some of the stricter dates and time set in place, they just don't work. Especially times when you have a large number of judicial court members graduating, and so you have to fill in 3 within 2 weeks or whatever before the next general meeting. So this just changes the timeline so that I don't have to do it's I still have to get it to y'all within a reasonable time. I can't hold back nominees, and but all it does is it basically just rather than scripting out my 2-week process of doing this, it just says I have 2 weeks to do it. and that's it. Like it still has the process. I just don't have 4 days to do this, 2 days to do that, a day to do this, 2 days after that, 3 days there. So it just doesn't work like that. So I'm open to questions.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, I will send that bill to the Rules and Regulations Committee. Yes, Chair Rosen.
I have a bill.
Can you please briefly describe your bill?
I'm changing the number of times the governance council is supposed to meet.
All right. Is there a second to hear this bill? Seeing multiple seconds, you may now proceed. You have 10 minutes starting to
Howdy, pretty self-explanatory. It's governance council is supposed to meet between every general meeting of the student senate, and with all the other times we're meeting with meeting with exec and J Corp and meeting with administrators. This like needing to meet every 2 weeks is kind of dilatory, and so we're changing it. As of right now, it's just changing it to once a month, and we're going to go from there. So, questions?
Where's now Neil to question or Chair Page?
Chair Page, Student Services. How often does the Governance Council met in the past?
Previously, they meet very, previous ones, I don't know. I wasn't part of it, actually. So I can't say. I cannot say.
Thank you.
Yes, Senator Dean? No. There are no other questions. The period question and answer is now closed. We'll now send this to the Rules and Regulations Committee. And are there any other bills for open session? Yes, Chair Dean. Senator Dean, my apologies. Can you please give a brief description of your bill?
It regards the Good Samaritan overdose protection policy that the state of Texas has.
Is there a second to hear this bill?
I second.
I see multiple seconds. We have 10 minutes starting. Howdy.
Well, howdy, Senate. This is something, an issue that I'm really passionate about because it's affected me a lot over the summer. But in particular, it has to do with the Good Samaritan policy that the state of Texas has and how it doesn't cover narcotics at all. And I think that if policy was extended in the state of Texas to allow narcotics to be included within the Good Samaritan policy, that you would see an increase in one, medical emergency being asked for, and secondly, a decrease in the overdoses, especially amongst college age students, because that's mostly where you see the fear of people not reaching out to get help for someone who has had an overdose for fear of getting in trouble. So there's multiple parts to the bill. If we can scroll down to let it therefore be enacted, Jacob's going to talk a little bit more about the legislative relations side of it. But first, this is the LA bill, so we'll ask the legislative relations team to advocate on it when they go this spring to the Capitol. This is an issue that's been talked about in the state of Texas legislature previously, and I'll let you talk a little bit more about that because he's way more knowledgeable about that side of it than me. So let it therefore be enacted too. There was a bill regarding this in the 68th session. I wanted to kind of change the wording some, but also the extension of protection. So in the let it therefore be let it further enacted too, it talks about the person who is overdosing and protection specifically against like legal ramifications when someone calls that they are overdosing, and then the let it therefore be enacted 30. Is protection for legal ramification extends to the person who calls for the person that is overdosing, insofar as they cooperate fully in full extent to the law once officers and law enforcement get there. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. So this is a bill that was passed last session for y'all in Student Senate. And so this has been something that I've been working on for the past year. And it's a really good bill. I think in terms of its history in the state legislature, what's important to note is that last session with the state legislature, it passed overwhelmingly both the House and Senate. There were just a few amendments that were not included, and so I didn't feel comfortable signing it without those amendments being included. So that being said, this bill has broad bipartisan support. It can save lives. Every university, every student government has this as a priority for their university, not just A&M, but Texas Tech, Texas State, etc. So there's a really good chance that this can pass. And then other than that, I definitely encourage y'all to consider on this issue because it affects a lot of lives, it affects lives of students here, and by working on this and getting past the state legislature, it can save lives. So.
I have open for questions.
Are there any questions? Oh, yes, there's one, I believe. Senator Rodriguez.
Senator Rodriguez, Liberal Arts, do you guys define the difference between, like a narcotic, is there like Schedule 1, Schedule 2, or have you?
Right, yeah, so it's definitely not included in this bill. That being said, the original state legislature bill that was introduced last session does include categories, and so if you want to make it more specific, we can, and keep it
I'm
matching.
totally fine with amending it to reflect that in committee.
Are there any other questions? Yes, Senator Blair.
Senator Blair, Liberal Arts. The first thing that comes to my mind is that maybe if someone sees that narcotics are no longer, I guess, an issue in overdose, do you think it would increase narcotics?
So from stats from when Good Samaritan Law took effect for alcohol, there was an increase in underage drinking and troubles with that when that law passed. I don't think that it will increase because it just, one, no one, I think, goes into using drugs normally with the intention to overdose. When we're at a party around a lot of people, that's normally not when someone overdoses. And so I think that this is going to protect people, especially from past experiences where people being afraid to call and reach for help and then it's coming too late.
There's no evidence that because Samaritan Law, a bill that covers alcohol has ever been used as an out of jail free card or converting drinking. It's only ever been used in terms of protecting people that need medical help if they request it.
Are there any other questions for the bill? Seeing none, I'll send this to the Legislative Affairs Committee. Are there any other bills for, oh, yes, Chair Tarver.
Chair Cuccinelli, this is tax-free textbooks.
All right. Is there a second to hear multiple seconds? You have 2 minutes to present, starting at Howard, Chair Tarver.
Hi, Senate. I'm just reintroducing legislation with only a few minor changes for to exclude textbooks from having sales tax on them. I don't really anticipate this is going to be anything controversial in it. It is pretty self-explanatory, so I don't want to waste y'all's time. If none of the others, do you have anything to add? Okay, I yield the question.
All right. Of course, then yield to the question. Are there any questions for the bill presenters? Yes, Senator Hernandez.
Senator Hernandez, on-campus caucus. So who are our points of contact as we forward with this tax rate?
Thank you for that question. Mainly, it's going to be our 3 state senators, and then I've also asked that it be sent to the Sean Sharp, who's in charge of the Board of Regents, and then Michael Young, who's president of the university. So them plus our 3 senators. We have a list of them right here.
And I believe you'll find that information at the bottom of the bill.
All right, Senator Crowe.
Senator Crowe, off-campus caucus. Just to clarify, with this bill, would y'all be then redistributing the cost of the tax from the students who are buying textbooks to any tax student at large?
There's nothing about that in the bill. We're just asking that they exempt textbooks from.
So to answer your question, no, we do not have any current plans in place to redistribute that money that would be saved from the taxes on the textbooks to redistribute it anywhere else.
Okay, I think I understand your question. We're going to be the ones saving money. The state is going to be losing a little bit of revenue from it.
Right. So, yeah, thank you. Yes,
All right, Senator Rodriguez.
Senator Rodriguez, Liberal Arts. Does this extend to book purchases that I buy online? So if the company is not based in the state of Texas, do I still get a tax exemption?
I believe so because it's sales tax that goes to the state of Texas. Like the state is what levies the sales tax. So yeah.
Even like I don't think Amazon.
Please limit the back and forth.
Essentially, essentially, we're not actually making a change. As this bill, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden tax would be tax-free. What we're instead doing is we're advocating to our congressmen to say, hey, try to make textbooks free or tax-free. However they choose to do that, that's up to them. We just want to try to tax them.
Thank you.
Senator Couillard, do you have a question? Okay. Any other questions? All right. Okay. Seeing none, we will close period question and answer, and I'll send this bill to the Legislative Affairs Committee. Yes, Chair Page. Do you have a bill for open session?
I do. Chair Page, Student Services, the Legislative Improvement Act,
Could you please give a brief description of this bill?
to improve our legislation.
Is there a second to hear this bill? Seeing multiple seconds, you may now proceed.
Well, howdy, Senate. Howdy. Everyone fell asleep. All right. So this kind of came about where I was looking through some of the archives and looking through some of the bills that are coming up in the last, this week and in the previous week. And I noticed that there is a lot of variance in what we're putting out. And it may not seem all that important to us because we're thinking, okay, the ideas are, okay, the ideas are the important part. You know, we're here to make ideas, to come up with ways to make things happen, actionable ideas, to put them out on paper, and then really to advocate them. The paper is the process we go through. Well, while this is true, and in premise I completely agree with that stance, another important part is what does it look like to people we're sending it to? So if we have horrible formatting, we have text changing size on something, we have, you know, a lot of these people are getting multiple bills from us. So there's certain people, President Young, certain city councilmen maybe, various people who get a lot of bills over the course of the year. And if every bill is looking quite a bit different or even somewhat different, I even had the comment from an administrator to me like, so what does X in that first name, last name, off campus mean? Is this an off campus student who wrote a bill? I said, well, no, it's a senator from that caucus, but these people don't know that. So what this bill would do is put a kind of a standardization on our bills. You have to do a certain couple things. You have to fit a certain template that's came up with and approved by the IA and released to everybody. So it's a pretty standard bill template. Something like that's already currently available to you, but there'll be certain elements of that that you have to meet in your bill before we're going to pass it. If the bill author is a student, well, the expectation then falls on the senator who's sponsoring it to write it correctly. If it's a senator, hopefully whoever's authoring the bill does it correctly. If you don't know how to, reach out to another senator who does. There's plenty of us in here who've written many bills and can make it look nice for you. And then if that doesn't happen, when it goes to committee, it then falls to the committee chair or the committee to correct the bill to where it's presentable format before it comes up for its second reading. So again, this is just making things look a bit cleaner, adhering to a standardized template, and ultimately improving our image as a professional body and as representative of the school. So we send out things that look good and look professional as opposed to a lot of variance and all of that. So more of an administrative task, but all the same, it makes a huge impact. With that, I open to questions.
Are there any questions for Chair Page? Seeing none, I'll send this to the Rules and Regulations Committee. Are there any other bills for open session? Seeing none, I will now close the period of open session. And we move into a period of committee reports, beginning with the constituency affairs chair. Chair Ellis.
So good meeting this week, shorter than expected actually. As far as stuff coming up, we don't have any legislation, so we're not having a meeting per se, but we will have tabling hours this upcoming Wednesday. Does everybody know what tabling hours is? Are there any new senators who don't know what that is?
Please explain it.
I'll explain it. Yeah. Essentially, tabling hours are, we'll have a table set up in the MSC next Wednesday, so that we don't have a meeting. And there we'll be able to reach out to students and, you know, tell them a little bit about what Student Senate does, and if they have any questions or concerns, they can come to us there. There's a possibility that we may have David DeVoe with us as well. Possible, so we can get people registered as well. I will be sending out an email for registration. Basically, you'll put your name in a little Excel file that I created on Google Drive. So if you want to sign up, I'll send out the email tonight. But other than that, what you see on Wednesday.
Are there any questions for the chair? Seeing none, we'll now move to Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services. First off, this will probably change, but as of right now, we're going to say same meeting time, same meeting place. But I have to be at some other committee meetings as well, so we'll put that in to make it work. That'll all be sent over to GroupMe. So if you're not in my GroupMe, if you don't check it, please check it. And if you're not in it, please let me know. But that's for anyone else who's interested, 6:10 in Coldest on Wednesday. Also, regarding the mentoring link I sent out over Facebook, a lot of you guys have replied. That's fantastic. If anyone wasn't aware of it, I did send out one on Facebook. Please check the Facebook page. If you don't have a link to that, let me know. I can send you the link to the mentoring form. It's just if you want to be a mentor, if you want to be mentored, if any of this is still confusing to you, if you're not quite comfortable writing a bill, if you need any help and you want it to be just a one-on-one thing that isn't going to a chair or isn't going to somebody else randomly, I'm just setting that up. And it's confidential, just the two of you know about it. So again, want to put that plug in for that. And also on the Google Drive, I'm setting up, there's a folder for Student Services Committee. So whether you're in it or not, if that kind of stuff interests you, I'll be trying to put meeting minutes and things like that about stuff that's going on in the student services world, so you guys can read through some of that and keep up to date, instead of trying to say all of it right here and taking 5 minute committee report at a time. Chad Loving Finance, if you guys want to go to that committee meeting, it'll be Wednesday at 7 p.m. in Columbus. And with that, I yield to questions.
All right, are there any questions for Chair Page? Seeing none, Chair Page. I'll now move to academic affairs.
Yes.
Chair Board of Academic Affairs, so we do have some legislation this week. I'm going to shoot for 6:15, 6:30 on Sunday. If that still works for everybody. If not, say something in the group meet. Also, if I can have everybody come see me after the meeting, but we have some honor council stuff to talk about. So if y'all will just kind of coagulate in this direction after the meeting, it would be great.
Are there any questions for the chair? Seeing none, we'll go to legislative affairs.
Chair Griffin, LA. All right, we have 2 bills, so we'll meet next Wednesday at 7 in Columbus. And I'm going to send out a reminder for y'all, but if that doesn't work for anybody, just let me know and I'll try to work around y'all.
All right, are there any questions for Chair Turpin? Seeing none, thank you, Chair Turpin. All right, Rob's committee. President Finney.
As far as I is concerned, we're going to be meeting 2 Sundays, October 2nd at 6:30. Ops committee, doing great.
All right, thank you. And Chair Rosing.
My committee will be at 6 on Wednesday. 6 on Wednesday. Right now, that's what it's set as. We have 1 or 2 bills in our committee, so it will be a little while. Couple things I want to talk about real quick. First is, we keeping debate reasonable, like time-wise, and we did a good job on it tonight when, there came to a time that, it kind of became stagnant. We moved to previous questions, stuff like that. And then also another one, I noticed it tonight, there were a lot of things that when you're making bylaw changes and changes to our constitution, or our code or whatever, it's one thing, go in and find the slots in the code. And really your job is to rewrite it and mark out what you're striking out and highlighting what you're changing. And that's where just new senators, that's a thing. And it's an important thing for anytime you're wanting to make an actual bylaw bill. Change that code. You good?
All right, are there any questions for, yes, Senator?
Okay.
Withdrawn. Yes, Senator Powers.
Senator Powers, College of Education. Your meeting is at 6 p.m. Wednesday. Where?
Goals.
Okay, thank you.
All right, are there any other questions for Rosie? Seeing none. We'll close the period of committee reports and move into the period of executive reports, starting with Student Body President Wimberly. Yeah, 8 minutes, sorry.
Sorry. Hi, first of all, congratulations to any of y'all that got your rings last Friday. I love hearing the rings out in this room. There were 4,353 sites that received their rings on Friday. So I have a couple of updates in the interest of time. I'm going to keep it short. Fall elections are rolling and going fantastically. Election Commissioner Rachel Keithley and Senior Class President Wimberly
posted an informational, which is the first time that I believe in my time at Texas A&M that an informational has been posted for candidates interested in running for election. It was a great time for people to be able to ask questions so that Rachel doesn't get inundated with a ton of emails and also just clear things up in the entire group. I have been in contact with the appropriate members in the IT department and with the provost in potentially getting the Silver Taps logo and information added to Howdy emails a few days before Silver Taps. So we're making good progress on that. I'm excited to see where that goes. University committees, this in my time at Texas A&M has been the fastest and earliest that we've had all of our university committees built. I'm thrilled because that means that our student voices are being heard on a variety of planes. I had a fantastic meeting with Chartwells on Monday. And from Monday, I've already seen really great results. So something that I've heard from students is that, especially in the evenings, with those food trucks on South Side, when your class gets out, the food trucks are leaving. So they have made a few adjustments with the schedules of those food trucks. And so now there's a little bit extra time. So when you get out of your evening class, then you still have time to make it to the food truck for dinner. So that's really exciting. I had the opportunity to go meet with the Gardens facilitators today. If y'all aren't aware of the Gardens, I would highly encourage you to Google it. The Gardens, Texas A&M. It is an incredible project that's happening on West Campus. They're in phase 1, which is a 7-acre teaching garden. By the time that this project is finished, it will be almost 30 acres in the absolute best teaching garden in, I think, the SEC, probably in the country. And it is to reflect even more than that. It's going to be an incredible place for transformational learning. I'm really excited to see that. I encourage you to Google it, look it up. It's an incredible project that each and every one of us will be able to utilize, even if we're not in our major. We had our first Chancellor's System Advisory Council meeting. Speaker Hood and I attended that via WebEx, where we were able to introduce the Legislative Relations Program broadly or the Texas Student Government Coalition program broadly to the entire system. And Jacob got a lot of great feedback, and so we signed up for that. Geek Vote has been working incredibly. Thanks to the work of Spencer Davis and Jake Wilson. They have handed out, I believe, almost 3,000 mail-in voter registration cards to the point where the county can't keep up with how many people want to register to vote. How exciting is that, y'all? That is so cool. I'm really looking forward to that. With Spencer Davis being confirmed for municipal affairs, my cabinet is now full. I am thrilled. Thank you. And then the last one that I'd like to share with y'all, I was not at the beginning of this meeting because I was speaking at the Suicide Awareness Walk. September is National Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month. And this event really, really hit home with me. And we had the opportunity to discuss that there's a stigma associated with mental health. And we talk about physical health, we talk about going to the gym. No one questions when you go to the doctor because you're sick. But the same can't be said for mental health. So as student leaders in this room, I would highly encourage you to look at the resources that are available to our students on our campus. Be aware of those resources and share those with your constituents. That's super, super important. And talking about the tough issues really, really helps. They mentioned that the common misconception is that if we talk about suicide, it makes the problem worse. When in fact, talking about suicide makes the problem less. So let's take it as a charge, not just for suicide, but for all the other resources available on our campus. Let's learn about these resources, let's share them with our constituencies, and let's continue to improve Texas A&M. So with that, do you have any questions? Okay.
Seeing no questions.
Beat the hell out of Arkansas.
We'll now move into my executive report. President Benny. Getting attached to it. All right, howdy, Senate. Howdy. So there's been some stuff that I've been working on, and one of the main things is what I'm about to deliver to you today. And that is a charge to the 69 Student Senate. This is something that I've been speaking with a lot of senators, and I've been speaking with a lot of administrators, I'm speaking with a lot of different people. And one of the things that they've really brought forward to me is that there's never really been a unified vision for the Student Senate in Texas A&M. And so I'm going to present to you a vision. Now, this is by no means a mandate. This is by no means that you have to do this, but this is in my time as Student Senate, in my time here at Texas A&M, and in the meetings I've been having for the past 5 months with administrators, students, and student leaders here on campus. These are some things that I recognize that we can do to help make this university better. And so what I'll be doing is actually presenting this charge to you, and then I'll be sending it out to you as a body, and I'll be sending it out to administrators so they know what we're up to, and I'll be sending it out to student leaders. And so this is just a challenge, a charge that I'm giving you for things that we can do to better the experience of students here at Texas A&M. So, it's kind of Yogi Berra, legendary baseball catcher, famous for his quotisms, once said, "If you don't know where you're going, you will wind up somewhere else." Today, I'm going to talk with you about where we're going and charge you as a Senate body to embrace this challenge and leave our university a little better than how we found it. In the 68th session, a good friend of mine and former Senator, Jacory Clark, embarked as the ad hoc diversity chair on something that he called a listening tour, visiting underrepresented minority groups on campus to simply listen to them about their experiences. Upon my election as speaker, I copied Jacory and decided to go on my own listening tour. I went to talk with administrators, I went to talk with students, I talked with the Senate, I listened to everyone here at this university to get a better idea of what it is that we can do to better the experience of Texas A&M. So upon my listening tour, here are a couple things I've learned. Texas A&M is at the cusp of major changes in our university and throughout higher education. We have experienced unprecedented growth and have opportunity to spread the spirit to places it has never been felt. But with that growth comes a great challenge, maintaining who we are as a university by keeping what makes Aggies unique at the center of all we do. This is my first charge to you, Senate. Keep our core values of respect, excellence, leadership, loyalty, integrity, and selfless service at the center of our service on behalf of the students here at Texas A&M, and use them as a measuring stick against all that we do to make Aggie Land even better. Every bill that you put forward, every conversation you have with students, every conversation you have with senators, use the core values that we hold dear to this university as a measuring stick for, am I doing the right thing for the students of this university? If the spirit does not permeate our service, then we could be senators at any other university, and not just Texas A&M. With our university's growth comes something that all of us have experienced, the inability of university services to keep pace with the growth of the Aggie family. The top concern expressed to me by students constantly, every conversation that I had, is the quality of services such as dining, transportation, and student counseling. I like to use this stat about we have one psychiatrist for 58,000 students here at Texas A&M. This is something that we can enter into. So my second charge to you, Senate, is this. Relentlessly research the issues that students are facing, then take your newfound understanding and confront the challenge head on. Work with administration, exec, and student body to promote the interests of all Aggies. In the next 2 weeks, I'll be visiting each of your respective committees to present to you in more detail challenges that Aggies face that your committee can overcome. Things that have been shared with me as students, things that have been shared with me administrators, things that have been shared with me on a day-to-day basis in the 5 months that I've been working here as speaker. Things that I think that we can work together with the university to make things better, and things that I think the students have brought forward to me that we can do to improve the quality of life for students here. Chair Rosini and I have also created a research report that we asked to be submitted with every piece of legislation in your committee. And I ask that chairs do not pass legislation through their committees to the general body without an accompanying report. One of the greatest things that has came up to me in my conversations with administrators day in and day out is that the bills that we bring forward to are not well researched. That we haven't talked with people before, or that the first time they're hearing about issues when we have a bill and we slap it on their desk and we demand something. There's a better way that we can do this where we can better form these relationships with administrators where we're able to actually start moving the ball forward on these issues. I like to grab the legislation that we've had in past sessions and flip through it and see what's actually passed. I would love to take the 69 session legislation and flip through it and say pass, but all these things actually happen as well. And so my hope is with the research reports, my hope is with other things that Chair Rosie and I have been working on, that we're going to be able to increase the ability for you guys to do well at your job. I know that Ad hoc Chair Cougar, she's bringing the manual in very quickly. That will be ready by the next meeting, and if we don't have a couple policy briefs, then that's going to be, we're going to publish what we got, because we have the majority. So, this will ensure the excellence to which we hold ourselves accountable and serve as a template for those of you who are unfamiliar with the research process. Third, this is my third and final charge. We represent a diverse student body and more than 58,000 Aggies. Each of them comes with experiences, beliefs, and backgrounds different than our own, but this is a strength, not a weakness. It's a strength and diversity that helps make us better fighting Texas Aggies, y'all. And that's why my third charge to you, Senate, is to listen. Go out and speak with your constituents on a regular basis. Gather their stories and experiences and bring them back here to this chamber. Bring them back here to this chamber. If we integrate the voice of Aggies from all corners of the university into our conversations with one another in the university, I guarantee you that our voice will be louder, as will the weight of our influence. Much as UCLA knows that 50,000 Aggies doesn't sound like 100,000, I guarantee you that 80 Aggies does not sound like 58,000. Then listen to yourself. Why are you here, and what do you know that you can accomplish? Each of you has brought a gift into this body. That might not be writing legislation. That might not be public speaking, but each of you has something to contribute. And I've seen that already in multiple centers who they haven't written any legislation, but they've been reaching out to constituents. They've been doing crazy great reforms in some of the areas, especially in ops. That committee's knocking it out of the park. And I'm proud of all the work that y'all are already doing. Keep doing that. Keep channeling what your talents are. And then listen to your fellow senator. They're along for the ride too and want what you want, a better university for Texas A&M. These are the charges that I present to us, Senate. Lead with our values at the center of all that we do. Learn the challenges that we have. Learn the challenges that we have and that we have the ability to affect and then use our knowledge to confront them. And listen to the students first, then ourselves, then one another. Lead, learn, and listen. That's it. That's my charge to you this year, Senate. We have an amazing opportunity to help propel our university forward through tireless service to the students and an unwavering commitment to what sets us apart. The charges that I bring before you this evening can be met through tireless effort and commitment to the phrase that holds us true today as it does to the day that is written. We're the Aggies. The Aggies are we. Thanks, team, and God bless y'all.
Do you have any questions for Speaker Hood? Senator Dean.
Their name off campus. To your knowledge, has opening procedure, including prayer, been extended to face outside Christianity in the 69, 68, or 69, 68, or 67 sessions?
There has, to my knowledge, never been a prayer other than the prayers that we in this body have experienced up to this point.
Any other questions? Jerry Oss.
Jerry Oss, yeah. Is there anything prohibiting that from happening?
Prohibiting that from happening?
Prohibiting, yeah, other religions from, right?
No. But I will say that one thing that probably has prohibited is that we've never invited it. So, I think that part's on myself. I never reached out to another group on campus and said, hey, do you want to come pray?
Chair Page.
Chair Page, Student Services. Have you ever invited a Christian person to come pray?
No.
Senator Blair.
Senator Blair, Liberal Arts, I motion to adjourn.
Expires, what's the seconds that takes for that?
6 months.
Just move to adjourn. We move to adjourn. All in favor of adjourning? Aye. All opposed? Nay. Okay, well, let me take roll call. Take roll call?
No, you have to.
I have to.
Because the adjournment happens until after.
And very briefly, guys, so we did get over a little bit early. If anyone's interested, I'm a big geek about just talking about things like theology and philosophy and that kind of thing. And so I think that especially when we have heated conversation about issues that we care about, there's an opportunity where we can be talking about these things outside of the chamber. So if anyone's interested, I'm going to go to the MSC cafeteria. If anyone just wants to talk about what prayer means to them, I'm more than open to just chilling and talking. And I invite those people, especially who are outspoken during today's meeting about that.
We also have a bunch of stuff that is getting given to us by Chartwells. We have cups, air fresheners, name tags, plates, and now shut up and let me do the roll call. All right, that's to be Waverly. Chief Justice. You good?
Howdy.
Myself. Chair Rosine. Howdy. Chair Brooks.
Howdy.
Chair Rios.
Howdy.
Chair Levy. Chair Page. Chair Durfee. Chair DeLeon. Chair Leon. Chair O'Neill. Howdy. Chair Arden. Chair Mohammed. Howdy.
Senator Bill. Senator Blair. Senator Boston.
Please stay in order.
Guys, I'm just gonna skip your name if I can't hear you, okay? That's your problem. Senator H. Brown. Senator N. Brown. Senator Cook. Senator Cox. Senator Davis. Senator Day. Senator D. Senator Diaz. Senator Eads. Senator Diaz, right here, howdy. Senator Ferguson. Senator Gimbel. Senator Wilkie. Senator Gonzalez. Senator Hernandez.
Yeah,
Senator X.
I'm trying to get through the list. I got about a quarter of y'all minutes.
Senator Long.
I'm pretty busy this week.
Senator Howard.
Next week things clear for me too.
Senator Johnson. Senator Gideon. Senator Gideon.
Please stay in order.
Senator King. Senator Crowe. Senator Cruz. Senator Cruz. Senator Lander. Senator Langston. Senator Lewis. Senator Lewis. Senator Lewis. Senator Martin. Senator Mathis. Senator Mathis. Senator McDonald. Senator McDonald. Senator Milligan. Senator Rockford. Senator Moore. Senator Nelson. Senator Norman. Senator Peterson. Senator Howard. Senator Price. Senator Rogers. Senator Walker. Senator White. Senator Watson. Senator White. Senator Jake White. Senator Wilson. Senator Wolf. Senator Wolf.
All right. That would be pretty cool.
I just feel like I'm not. Yeah.